Nazis vanished without. They tell of their defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat. Was Hess remained in prison, then the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots. The maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come. And if I die here for the resistance, oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of our resistance and those who died for liberty.
Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
I was born in the Dublin street where the loyal drums do beat, and the lovely English people walked all over us. And every single night when mates would come home tight, he'd invite the neighbours out with his chorus. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galloway from the green and lovely lace of Gilshandra. Tell us how you slew them old Arabs 2 by 2, like the Zulus they had knives, bows and arrows. Of how brave you faced one with your 16-pounder gun, and you frightened all the natives to the marrow. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galloway from the green and lovely lace of Gilshandra. Come let us hear you tell how you stand the brave Parnell, and taught him well and truly persecuted. Where are the stares and jeers that you proudly let us hear when our heroes of 16 were executed? Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight.
Hello there, hello there, hello there, you infidels! How are we all? I am alive. Kind of. Would you believe me if I said otherwise? No, it wouldn't make sense, because I'm talking to you, so like, obviously that is the prerequisite for that would be being alive, really. When you think about it, you know. Oh shit, we're on a fucking hype train and that. Why are you gay? It's a very, very good question. Thank you to Jim Speaker, who says, Curtis won't click 2 buttons, so have my free money. I will take second place money, thank you very much. I will take your 50 pieces of silver. That's what I said. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, we'll get to that meme in a second, 255. Thank you, Plexicon, for subscribing with Prime for 60 months. That's 60 months, Plexicon, you mad cunt. The fuck is wrong with you? But thank you. I do appreciate it. But also, like, you know. Like, you realise this is like a cry for help. 255, I will get to your fucking meme. Chill. And it's been pinned. Oh, I'm being tracked down here. This is oppression. You're oppressing me. Thank you, Lord Fritus, for 69 months. Nice. Then in brackets, Spanish slander. Yes, I did watch the football. Au revoir, dickheads. Yeah, no, the France.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
France were fucking dreadful. I mean, honestly, Gennaro, that's incorrect. They were always shit during that game. They'd probably been the best team in the tournament to that point, and then just did not turn up. They were fucking rubbish. Honestly, I'm going to put this out there now. Ousmane Dembele is the most undeserving Ballon d'Or winner in the history of the Ballon d'Or. I'm putting it out there right now. He had a good Champions League final. He wins a fucking absolute joke of a fucking league in France every year because he plays for the one team that can afford to buy anybody. When he went to Barcelona, he looked like the average player that he is. I'm just putting it out there right now. Also, Desiree Doué, Desiree Poué, more like. Just saying. Mbappe's quite good though, to be fair. Although he had a shit game as well, to be honest. But Whatevs. $255. I'm only playing with you. You're alright. I guess Musk is now the pedo guy. Musk has always been the pedo guy. Musk is the most pathetic pedo guy because he desperately wanted to go to the island and he couldn't get an invite. Why am I gay? Because cock is nice. Keith urging Scots to back England against Argentina is just too funny. True, but what's even funnier is, right, okay, so the Prime Minister is going to resign the day after the World Cup final. So if England do somehow beat FIFA tomorrow, because let's be honest, it's not Argentina we're playing, it's FIFA.
It's too fucking hot here in Scotland. I can't
make it to the
imagine
final.
how bad
Keith
it
is
down
going to
there.
fly to
Bring on the
America
next ice age.
to watch the game, and being the bad luck omen that he is, will obviously lose, and he will be to blame for that, and then fly back and resign. Like, he's just the biggest disappointment ever. He just is. He's fucking useless. Thank you, Lord Freetus. I already said that one. Thank you. That's why I started talking about football. Thank you, Fuzzmoz, who says... Yeah, I already read that one out as well. Literally already read them out. Yeah. Like, Keith asking Scots to back England over Argentina when, like, Maradona is essentially an honorary Scot. According to most Scottish people, he's like a Scottish hero for the quote-unquote header he scored in 1986, right? Like, the idea that a single Scottish person is going to support... Not even the fucking Rangers fans are supporting England tomorrow. Actually, some of them probably are because they're fucking bootlicking garbage, but that's a different matter entirely. Why am I spawning into another Eldritch Horror image? Because it's the Kevin Logan stream, and that's what you fucking get. I missed a £5 super chat on YouTube, did I? Apologies. Thank you, Layla, who says, cheese tithe for the holy ratties, Kev. It's too fucking hot here in Scotland. I can't imagine how bad it is down south. Bring on the next ice age. True. It is still a little bit too hot. It has cooled off a smidge. Just a little bit. To a kind of vaguely civilised temperature. But it's still far too hot. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's sweltering. It's not so much even the temperature. It's the fact that there's no wind and it's humid. So it feels like you're sat in kind of soup rather than air. It's very unfortunate. Yeah. Anyway. But thank you for the cheese tithe. It will definitely make its way to the rats. Honest. And thank you, Layla, also for being a member for 3 months on the YouTubes. It's 28.6 degrees wherever Jim is. It's too hot. It's just too fucking hot. People shouldn't be in that temperature. We are human beings. It's not expected to rain here for like another 10 days or something. What the fuck? It's fucking Britain. What do you mean it's not going to rain for 10 days? Are you fucking mental? We have 2 solid days of weather and we've got fucking hosepipe bans. It's absolutely insane shit. It hasn't rained here for ages anyway. Like, we're gonna be desiccated. We're going to turn into the fucking Sahara. We can't deal with this. It's 20 degrees right now, but it's past midnight. True, but Phantom, you're in Bulgaria. That's on the Black Sea and shit. Like, I expect that shit to get hot sometimes. We're up here in the rainy North Atlantic, man. This isn't right temperature at all at any time of fucking year. This is mental. Found the crab costume for Kev. Needs a friend, but looks amazing. Fuck you. I'm not even showing that. For the slander, for the absolutely brutal slander, I'm not even showing that. I will show the Anne Widdecombe meme, though, because that is funny. Don't even get me started on it being like the summer of 76. Honestly, I fucking hate that talking point. Like, it's way worse than 76 because, right, 76 was unusual. The reason that lives long in the memory is because it was unusual temperature. It wasn't hot like that every year. Whereas we're breaking records every year. Year on year is the hottest year. Every fucking year now, basically. is ridiculous, right? And secondly, in 1976 they didn't have to put up with fucking boomer cunts going on about how, like, oh, it was hotter 50 years ago. Suck my dick. I don't give a fuck if it was hotter 50 years ago, you cunt. Just fucking die. Literally just die. I will drive you to Switzerland personally, you piece of shit. Is Mahmoud going to be Chancellor? Probably, because we didn't elect a communist. Well, no one elected him. He's going to become Prime Minister unelected, of course. But he's just a fucking same old Blairite piece of shit he always was. And nothing is fundamentally going to change. Anyway. So yes, I almost certainly will not be on tomorrow. There is a little football game happening. It is the semi-final of the Coupe du Monde, to let the French feel like they're still involved. That joke can only work for 24 hours probably, but we'll go with it. And so I probably will be screaming and getting drunk. But there we go. Fun times. I did know that his middle name was Murray. I've commented on it, yeah. This is the other meme I made. Pro survival tip: if you live in the countryside where roughly half the population despise you, don't live in a house with no gate and sign with your name on the outside. It is a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird, and also it just seems like a funny image to have that next to forensics. Like they really had to search for clues on that one. But like, the thing is, I haven't really talked about the Anne Widdecombe story too much outside of like doing jokes about it. Like, I definitely didn't do it, all that sort of stuff. Because we don't really know the details. But it does seem like a very strange one. Firstly, the police were convinced it had nothing to do with politics, right? They said there was no political angle to it. And then, within 48 hours, the fucking anti-terrorism squad took over the investigation. Now, forgive me, but is by the very nature of the phrase terrorism, does that not mean it's literally all about politics? Because that's sort of the nature of terrorism, is that it's politically motivated, pointed violence, right? Anyway, yeah, it's a weird story, and I don't get Anne Widdecombe as a target of terrorism. It's just very strange. Because if you were going to kill someone for political reasons, why would you kill someone who hasn't been a politically relevant character for years? Now, don't get me wrong, it's not to say she wasn't, like, she didn't, like, appear in the media from time to time, but she's not an active politician in the sense of, like, being elected or whatever. She's, like, an ex-politician. So I don't understand why... Look, again, we don't. The problem is we're talking about this is we don't know who did it or why at this point. They're not revealing anything. It's possible they don't fucking know anything at this point, or don't know enough anyway to really say much. But yeah, she seems like an odd target. I've been told off in Helena's comments for being happy about Widdecombe's demise. Some people are so woke. Don't speak ill of the dead. Yeah, well, look, I'm sorry, but if the dead didn't want to be spoken ill of, don't act like a cunt when you're not dead. Is the way I look at it. Like, I will treat people in death as they treated people in life. Very simple. If you're a wanker, I will treat you like a wanker, whether you're alive or dead. If you're a good person, I will treat you like a good person, whether you are alive or dead. You being dead does not change that. Anyway, just moving on. Yeah. So, back to that one, because at least that one's funny. I mean, the other one is funny, but just in a more pointed way. This is just a wasn't she ugly bit, and she's ugly and dead, so you know. Yes. So, like I say, I won't be here tomorrow probably, so I'll you know, just bear that in mind. It seems ludicrously unlikely that I would do a stream after the show, after the football. I suppose it's not impossible. I might do an early one if I'm in the mood, but again, seems unlikely. Have you watched the new animations, by the way? I have not. Maybe we'll do that later, but probably not. Because we've got some longer form content to take a look at. Because one of the reasons I took a couple of days off on whatever day it was. Is it Friday and Saturday of last year? Fuck's sake. Of last week. Partly because there was, football to watch. But also, like, I was sort of just depressed, I suppose. Because I knew the thing I wanted to cover, but that I didn't want to cover it. If that makes any sense. It was a thing that I felt I had to cover. Not out of obligation to anyone else other than my own, like, integrity or whatever. But I didn't really want to cover. I know I had a headache yesterday. I'm talking about this was on Friday or Saturday of last week. Yesterday I did have a splitting headache. I think I'd been in the sun too long and I hadn't hydrated or whatever, and I had a fucking horrible headache. You know when you get one at the front and the sides of your head, like a kind of, is it a stress one or whatever? I don't know. But anyway, it was very, very unpleasant. It made looking at lights not particularly pleasant. So looking at a fucking screen, literally beaming lights into your face, would probably be bad. Heat stroke is dangerous. I don't think it was heat stroke. I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as that. It was just, I've been in the sun slightly too long. And I hadn't hydrated, so I was a bit dried out, but that's it. It wasn't heat stroke. I was sat still, you know. Will you be back tomorrow for PMQs? Oh, actually, you know what? I might do an early one then. I might cover PMQs early tomorrow. That might be a plan, yeah. Yeah, okay, we'll probably do that then. Okay, but either way, right, that's just bear that in mind. Yeah, the thing I wasn't looking forward to covering, but feels like I have to cover, is sort of old news at this point. In the sense that Graham Plattner has now pulled out of the race to be the nominee for the Democrats in Maine, because of a thing we already talked about, which was that he'd been accused of rape by an ex-partner. Now, I was not that surprised by it all, in all honesty, because I'd sort of given up on the guy with the Nazi tattoo. Like, I as soon as I found out he had a Nazi tattoo and was clearly lying about not knowing that it was a Nazi tattoo, that was enough for me. Like, other people were fine with that and just sort of pretended that was a reasonable thing and carried on. But for me, it showed that he was a person deficient in moral stature. And so I just thought, oh, fuck you, mate. I'm not interested. But most people have now accepted that, you know, as a rapist, he's probably beyond the pale. And I'd hoped that all of the leftists that had previously backed him after the Nazi thing, and after it had come out that he'd been, let's say, toxic towards women, and had ignored his, like, potential war crimes type stuff, I'd hoped that they would all recant their support and, like, at the very least pretend they hadn't supported him doing that bit. At the very least. But hopefully they'd come out and apologise and say, you know, I shouldn't have done this, so on and so forth. Wasn't it a death's head? It literally was a Totenkopf, a death's head. So literally the skull and crossbones used on the caps of the SS. Yeah, that was the tattoo he had, that he claimed he didn't know was a Nazi tattoo. Which is interesting, because that means that not only is he an ignorant cunt, but every single person who'd ever seen him topless was also a massively ignorant cunt. And I'm not entirely sure I believe that. Anyway, I'd hoped that all of the leftists who'd supported him would recant their support. Turns out, though, some people are just bad people. On that point, the Young Turks.
Not a police report, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. And there's not a legal case playing out here for due process to see itself through. So my question to you, given the very high standards Politico has before they write something like this and publish it, what aspects of this story brought it to the level of publishable?
We looked at messages that she had sent to others in the months after this happened through social media.
But you were able to see those DMs?
She tried to recover those DMs. We did not. We were not able to review those DMs, but she described them to us.
What in the world is happening? Mika Brzezinski grilling the Politico reporter that reported the allegation against Graham Plattner, a shocking source of skepticism from there. She actually did a brilliant job. We'll show you more about that in a second. And she was tougher on political reporting and the establishment reporting than a lot of progressive activists have been.
100%.
So is Graham Plattner going to drop out? We've certainly got details for you on that. If he does, who might be the next person online, and was he targeted? So a lot to discuss here. Anna's got the facts.
So before we give you the details, I just want to say Graham Plattner's candidacy was treated very differently from the typical centrist / establishment types in the Democratic Party. As you just saw, Mika Brzezinski seems very skeptical of the latest reporting, which we're going to get back to in just a second. James Carville, who is, I mean, part and parcel of the Democratic establishment, defended Graham Plattner prior to the latest allegations. So the establishment wasn't just flat out rejecting him. So I want you to keep that in mind as I give you the details of what's going on here. Now, the latest allegations have to do with a 41-year-old Maine resident who used to date Graham.
Would that not in of itself, by the way, be a red flag for the supposed populists, for the poly-market populists? The fact that fucking evil scum like James Carville were okay with the guy. Maybe suggests he wasn't as anti-establishment as they like to think.
And Plattner on again, off again for about 2 years. Her name is Jenny Rassicott, and she claims that in late 2021, he allegedly entered her home when the door was unlocked. He was deeply intoxicated by her telling and forced himself on her while she told him to stop repeatedly. So her allegation, let's be very clear, is that Graham Plattner entered her home when he wasn't invited and forcibly raped her. She says to Politico, quote, "I remember him grabbing my pelvis and being really forceful of me. I remember the specific moment where I thought to myself, like, this is no longer my choice." Now, she previously described reckless and unsettling behavior by Plattner in a New York Times article, but she didn't go into the details. She refused to elaborate, and she said she didn't want to do it, specifically because she didn't want to be known as a rape victim. Okay, but she decided to do it a week before an incredibly important electoral deadline in this Senate race in Maine.
God almighty. The narrativizing of it. Like, honestly, turfism needs to be studied because it breaks people's fucking brains. It breaks people's brains, man. Jesus Christ. So they're just going with, literally, their entire bit is, bitches be lying. This is the same person that got fucking crazy bent out of shape about the concept of birthing people because it was like damaging her womanhood. Whereas rapists, as long as we have similar politics, like, oh, that's fine, whatever. The fuck is wrong with you? Jesus Christ.
Now, Plattner flat out denies the allegations, but it clearly looks like he is going to eventually drop out of this race because every person who endorsed him has now turned on him. Further,
maybe that should tell you something. Literally anything. Anna, everyone has backed out of this. But you're just like, nah, bitches be lying.
This is a statement from Graham Plattner's campaign. They say these allegations are very serious, and Graham vigorously denies them. They are also coached and coordinated by out-of-state establishment operatives. For a year, opponents of this campaign have thrown everything they can.
Hang on, J.K. Rowling posted upskirting pictures on Maine. What? Okay, that slipped through the cracks for me. What the fuck is that? Is that a new thing?
Graham, calling him a Nazi, a war criminal, and a communist. None of it has been true, and this is no different.
Oh, I forgot to plug my thing in. Fuck, hang on. Right. Just remember she said communist. Oh, what the fuck is the screen doing now? Jesus Christ.
Different.
We're doing it, chat. I'm plugging it in. Of someone else to harass them. Have you got a link for that? Not that I want to see upskirting images. I just like, I want to have that clarified for me before I like repeat it. Because like, surely that's definitely illegal that you posted that, right? If again she did do that, I don't fucking know. It's the first I'm hearing of it. Come on, Stream Deck, stop fucking around. This is not Democracy Manifest. No, not that one. That one. Is it actually going to work today? What do you reckon, chat? What do we reckon? Oh, boom shakalaka. Let's go.
And a communist, none.
Seamless is what that was. Fucking seamless. You didn't even notice, did you? Oh my god, she actually fucking did. And that was 3 days ago. Oh my word. Oh my... What the fuck is wrong with this bitch? The golden snatch. You are fucking gross. That's a really gross thing. Oh no. Oh. That's fucking horrible. She should go to fucking jail, man. I don't know that she took the image, but she reposted the image. Did you go all the way to Russia for that sound effect? Oh, you can suck the farts out of my arse, mate.
None of it has been true, and this is no different. It is not a coincidence, they say, that this story comes a week before the ballot deadline, just as the previous false allegations came a week before the primary. Graham began his campaign to fight for a Maine where everyone is treated with dignity and where Mainers are put first, and no amount of desperate smears will stop this movement from seeing that vision through. Now,
also, Mainers is a shit demonym for Maine. I'm just saying.
I want to just quickly get into what type of evidence Politico relied on in order to publish this story, because these are serious allegations. So, Rasicot told...
She did. I knew about her inviting nonces to the Harry Potter thing, but yeah. As you do. As you do, you know.
Politico that she had exchanged text messages with Plattner that night, telling him not to come over before he did come over, right? Now, she said that she wasn't...
Or Mennonites, like Canaanites. That's fucking metal.
...in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said that she realized when she heard a sound at the stairs or on the stairs that he had let himself in. She left the door unlocked, which allowed for him to let himself in. Plattner came up.
Jesus Christ. It's still breaking and entering. She specifically requested him not to go there. He did so and entered her house without her fucking consent. He broke into her house. Jesus Christ. Honestly, the levels to which these turf scumbags will go to try and, like, say, oh, it's the transoids, they're a threat to the women's. And yet a man can break into someone's fucking house, regardless of whether it's unlocked. It's still illegal to enter someone's fucking house without their consent. You don't live there. You haven't been invited into the house. You have broken into the house. And then forcibly fucking rape somebody. And she's just like, no, bitches be lying. Honestly, she is one of my least favourite birthing people. She really is.
Up the stairs, she said, to where she was on a couch. He got on top of her and kept grabbing her, she said, while she repeatedly told him to stop and that she wasn't interested. She said she smelled alcohol in his breath and believed he was almost blackout drunk because Plattner ignored her protests and continued to grab her after knocking over an antique sewing kit, spilling small needles everywhere. Now, she was apparently unable to produce the text messages or the direct messages that she allegedly sent to Plattner, which Mika Brzezinski drilled the Politico reporter on. So let's take a quick look at that.
What do you have that actually connects this literally? Graham Plattner to raping this victim?
Yeah, she reached out to him the day after via Instagram and essentially, told him that, she didn't want to hear from him again. She told him that morning as well. We looked at messages that she had sent to others in the months.
Just a future reference point for anyone. Don't send people like this on to do fucking media bits. This guy is terrible. Like, even if everything he was saying was perfectly normal, I don't trust him. Anyone who's like stuttering and unable to fucking coherently put a sentence together, I don't trust that this person knows what they're talking about. He fills you with nothing but doubt in everything he's saying. Which is not great when you're making a very serious allegation against a high profile person. Like, you need to have your shit together, and this guy does not.
After this happened, through social media.
But you were able to see those DMs?
She tried to recover those DMs. We did not. We were not able to review those DMs, but she described them to us. We also, long before he was before he was a political candidate, we saw her essentially explain to others that he was, quote, in her words, consensually careless, end quote.
Right, but were you able to see the interactions between Graham Plattner and this alleged victim? Did you actually physically see them? Did she produce them for you?
She attempted to uncover them.
Again, you're giving politician answers. The answer is no, you didn't. But the thing is, we have those text exchanges from another person, and of course the messages from the therapist and all of that shit. Like, for me, there's plenty of corroborating evidence to suggest there is something very serious that's gone on here. So you can just say, no, we didn't see those messages, and then point to the other messages as cross-confirmatory.
But was unable to.
Willie?
Okay, so let me give you some more detail into the Politico reporting, and then I'll go to you, Cenk. So they write that Rasicot had said that she waited several weeks until she got her period to ensure she wasn't pregnant, then sent Plattner a private message on Instagram saying that the encounter was not consensual and she did not want to hear from him ever again. She said she later deleted all texts and social media correspondence with Plattner as she tried to move on from the assault, and said she has not been able to recover Instagram messages she sent him about the incident. Now, what is the evidence then? Well, the strongest evidence that Politico was able to provide to justify their reporting, where they're essentially accusing him of rape, is the following. So there was an exchange between Rassicot and an acquaintance on Facebook, and I'm going to read you the relevant portions of their exchange. So the acquaintance says, "What's
like this is some proper, just straightforward rape apology at this point, trying to pick holes in a story when you know this person is guilty." Like, there's no way that Anna Kasparian or Chungus don't know that Plattner is guilty of this. It's just they've staked too much of their reputation on the guy, and so they're going to pretend like this is the establishment taking down a noble fighter for the right of people, and it's bollocks. This is fucking tragic. This is embarrassing. This is pathetic. Shameful shit.
his deal? Should I not fix up my friend, assuming he's single?" Rassicot responds with, "He can be charming and funny, and he's a decently intelligent person. He's not all bad, but I ended up in a bad situation with him, and I will just very politely call him consensually careless at times." Okay. The acquaintance says, She responds, "When drunk, plus..."
Well, quite literally, her telling that story of her being assaulted had no evidence corroborating it at all. Now, I'm more than happy to believe that that did happen. I believe her that she was grabbed by that. Did she say she was grabbed by a homeless person in some way or another? I'm prepared to believe her that that happened. But I haven't seen any evidence that it happened. So using Anna's logic, bitches be lying, yo. Right? There's more fucking evidence that this took place than anything Anna's ever produced. It's disgusting, man.
PTSD. Acquaintance says, "I knew about the PTSD," and then she says, "He also lies." And then the acquaintance says, "Forces himself on people." I guess that's what she's trying to say. And then Rassicot later says, "One thing that grossed me out after him and I had dated was that I saw his profile on OkCupid, and that site asks a lot of questions, and one of the questions was, if your partner told you they had over 100 sexual partners, what would your response be?" And his response was, "That's not that many." So that super grossed me out, thinking he's probably slept with a ton of people. Doesn't listen to you when drunk. Okay, that is the most significant evidence, and personally...
quote unquote evidence that this is garbage. Like, I don't know what TYT think they're doing in terms of like trying to win people back after they pivoted, after pivoting, triangulating that, oh, actually going on the immigrants are raping people and taking over buildings, to like pretending to be on the left again. I don't know who they think this is winning over.
As a woman, if someone raped me, I wouldn't call them consensually challenged, but...
Okay, so unless a rape victim reacts exactly as you think you would react in that situation, then they shouldn't be believed. Right. Okay, I mean... What do we even play for that?
Oh dear, I seem to have spotted a cunt!
Maybe that's just the way she communicates. I don't know. Further, there was a therapist that she spoke to recently about this alleged...
She's like a Fox News host. So, she only spoke to that person recently, therefore it doesn't matter. God, you're fucking garbage.
Rape from all the way back in 2021.
Oh my
So she didn't tell her therapist about it at the time. She didn't file a police report.
It's literally doing rape apology. Literally doing rape apology. Oh, you didn't do the thing that lots of people don't do for any number of psychological reasons. We know that loads of people don't come forward about rape, partly because the police don't take rape very seriously. So, like, I understand why people would absolutely not go to the police about this. A, because they don't want to necessarily think of themselves as a victim, or they don't want to think about the crimes and retell them. to police officers, especially some police officers who themselves are domestic abusers and rapists as well. They realise that the chances of getting any kind of conviction are slim, and even if they do get conviction, it's not necessarily the person who's going to end up with fucking jail time. So I understand why people would not go to the police about rape. But you're like, unless they're the absolutely perfect victim, I absolutely cannot. I cannot believe this. Bitches be lying. Also, therefore, Jeffrey Epstein did nothing wrong. Donald Trump isn't in the Epstein files. Fake news. Scotland should support England. It's not going to happen, Solly. Put it to bed. It's not going to happen. Whether you think it's possible or not, you know. Humanist Report is the only one okay with this. Most white Americans, even leftists, don't understand how racist they
are. She apparently told an ex-boyfriend who she started dating in 2022.
Oh, your Starmer Maxim.
About the incident, although she was very...
Well, I just got Keith mugged. Outrageous.
Very vague about it. The man, who was granted anonymity out of concern for his personal privacy, told Politico that she had told him bits and pieces about a bad experience with Plattner before confiding the full details of what happened in 2023. That's the other piece of evidence that maybe you can point to.
Maybe you can point to. This is fucking awful. This is absolutely awful. The other thing you might be able to point to. It doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter to these people that he's a rapist. They've accepted that and just gone, well, we're just going to double down and triple down. Fuck it. Doesn't matter what evidence comes out. Look, it would be interesting to see if Plattner came out and said it was true, how these people would react. Whether they would even accept it then, or would they just double down again and again and go, the Israelis have got compromise on him, so that's the only reason he's saying it. 'Twas the Jews what did it. Or something like that. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
But I don't know. Everyone has withdrawn their endorsement of Plattner, and I think the allegations are suspicious. I'm just going to say it. I think Plattner's tattoo and his explanation of how he handled the tattoo after realizing it was a Nazi tattoo was way more problematic than these claims. I
mean, firstly, not really. And secondly, your claim there, Anna, would hold up a little more strongly if you cared about that either, which you didn't and don't. You were happy to overlook the Nazi tattoo. You're happy to overlook his repeated potential war crimes, up to and including, of course, him not just doing his regular tours of service in the American Army, but then becoming a paid military mercenary. Overlook all of that. Overlook the misogynistic and racist text messages. Oh, not messages, the social media posts that he made, including... He wished he'd fought, quote-unquote, Indians instead of the terrible, pointless wars that he did fight. So he wanted to do the genocide against the Native American people, not the genocide he actually did do in the Middle East. Overlooked all of that. And are now overlooking rape as well. So, like, if you cared about the Nazi thing at all, your claim here would make some sense. But you didn't, so it doesn't. Fuck off.
That's my thought.
Okay, there are two different issues here. Was he targeted? What does it mean to be targeted? And then did he actually do this specific allegation? So you've got to separate those two things out, and they're both relevant. So first of all, the media never talks about this thing that everyone in politics knows about, because it would make them kind of complicit in some of the games that are played. It's called oppo research, opposition research. So there are different groups that do opposition research, and then they hand it over to the media. So the groups that are...
Yeah, absolutely. We live in an adversarial political world. That is how that works. Muckraking has been around for a long time.
Doing it clearly have an agenda, and this is now bipartisan. It's not like Democrats don't do opposition research. Progressives do it, but super weak, in my opinion. Almost never do they actually put any oomph behind it. And besides which, when establishment figures give Oppo research to the mainstream media, they love it. The media loves it and immediately prints it, and that's relevant to this case. If progressives
also, it'd be sort of pointless because on the right they don't care. Like, this wouldn't have been a story on the right. Of course there are rapists who run for office on the right. Literally look at the President of the United States of America. That is not remotely problematic for the people of the right wing. They are absolutely fine. They have decided they are totally A-OK with rape. As long as it's done by a white person, obviously. If it's a white man doing it, especially a rich white man, it's all good.
give it to them, they don't print it. And they look it over 1 billion times and say it didn't meet their standards. That's why Mika Brzezinski's questions there were really interesting. She's like, this met your standards? Your evidentiary standards? So well, let's start with, now when you move over, we'll come back to who might have targeted him. But was he targeted? Oh, there's no question. I mean, you'd have to be brain dead. You'd have to be Mitch McConnell not to see that he was targeted. It was one thing after another.
Is that cunt dead, by the way? Is there any Americans? What's going on with McConnell? Is he actually? Are they going to weekend at Bernie, these motherfucker, until whenever he next has to stand? So they avoid having to do like a. They call it a special election in America rather than a by-election. Yeah. They did a proof of life photo. Okay. I'm not sure in the age of AI that the proof of life photograph is really going to do a lot anymore.
His tattoos, his Reddit post, his every girlfriend is contacted by the New York Times. Why? And then one,
because they want background information on the guy. Yeah, they want dirt. That is how it works. Like, it's not ethically, it's a bit weird, but it's not necessarily bad that a journalist would contact people who know the guy, as long as they're not making stuff up, which unfortunately they do all the time, and that is the problem. But actually contacting people isn't the end of the world. That's journalism. What is it, Clem H. Fandango? What did you say? Would it have been better or worse for him to stand down? If this had come out after he'd been elected? Well, firstly, it's not guaranteed he would have been elected anyway, but let's say he had been elected. Would it have been worse then? I mean, yeah, because essentially it means that they'd elected a rapist, which wouldn't have been good. I mean, there are obviously already rapists in the Senate and the Congress, but whatever. But yeah, this wouldn't have been good. Yeah, I'm not convinced by that. Look under the pointer finger on the paper. Is there a conspiracy about this? Is there? Let's have a look. What's the... Are they saying that's AI? Or something? I don't know. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be looking at there. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but... They could have taxidermied this old fuck. Look at him. I have no idea.
Woman comes out who's basically does Oppo research for the Republicans, and she says he did something for me.
And who defended Brett Kavanaugh when Christine Blasey Ford came forward with, I think, far more credible allegations against Kavanaugh, because there were several people she spoke to at the time of the alleged rape attempt by Kavanaugh.
So this is the media's like 7th attempt or something to end Graham Plattner's campaign.
Okay, and that happens all the time. Both sides do it. It's not the end of the world. Not good, but it's like, that's just the way it is. Cheng, like, you can't say, oh, well, this other person was politically motivated, which is possible, but, like, all I'll say is this person clearly wasn't motivated by politics. They share the same politics as Graham Plattner. Just saying, bruh.
If you think these are just, oh, well, he's so problematic, they're just organically popping up. That's not true at all. That is definitively not correct. There are groups who try to take out candidates. It is relatively normal, although it's never talked about in the press. Because remember, the press doesn't do their own job. These groups do. And then the question is, who does the press choose to target? Who do they choose to write the stories about? Who do they choose to not write the stories about? But
yes, TYT defending the rapist. Yeah.
We're going to come back to the essence of this case in a second. Anna.
I just have so many thoughts about this, so bear with me as I go through them all, okay? I loathe horse race politics specifically because of this reason. Because it places us in this unbearable position of having to adjudicate something that should have been adjudicated in a court of law if this actually took place.
Even though, Anna, you know that a tiny scintilla of even the cases that go to court end up in a conviction. Not because rape didn't happen, but because the way in which we structure our legal system means it's virtually impossible to prove in a he said, she said case. So in that situation, like 99% of rapes wouldn't be rape under your definition here. Like, this is just boilerplate rape apologia. That's all they're doing.
If someone entered my home and forcibly raped me, I would not allow the individual who forcibly raped me, that's violent, right, to remain in my home and sleep it off. But that is what she did.
Okay, and you're a rape apologist for doing that. Anna, okay, I'm going to have to mansplain this because I don't know how else to do this, really. In a lot of cases, they literally advise people in situations like that not to react violently to their attacker. Not because they don't have a moral right to defend themselves, and indeed a legal right to defend themselves, but the chances are that you will have further, much more compounded violence enacted upon you. Which is why, for instance, in a lot of cases, people who are sexually assaulted by a stranger will often actually just essentially lie there and let the thing happen and deal with it afterwards, because if you react to it, the likelihood of you being further attacked and or killed is massively increased. If this person is violent enough to the point where they have violently raped you, trying to kick them out of your house even though you couldn't stop them raping you physically in the first place is probably not a very wise move from a self-defense point of view. Also, sometimes people go into shock. They don't want to accept that what happened to them. They can't psychologically deal with that situation, so they essentially deny it to themselves in the short term in order to try and just fucking deal with the crushing psychological weight of the event. So in that situation, they're not likely to try and kick someone out because they haven't fully accepted themselves that it took place. But Anna has decided how she would definitely react, even though no one can know how they would react until you are literally in that situation, because psychologically you don't know how you're going to react. You can have some idea of that, because obviously you know your own lived experiences, but you can't know how exactly you would react to that. But in Anna's view, unless you react in exactly the way she imagines she would react in that situation, then this doesn't count. Which is about as disgusting as rape apology gets, really. Also, it shows her it's a very, very conservative mindset that they have. That if it didn't happen to me, it isn't real. If they don't react as I do, they're not normal. Therefore, I can just ignore them. Just saying.
She alleges that he was so drunk that she didn't want to tell him to leave because he might harm someone on the road. He just forcibly raped you, right? Call the cops. Or more...
Oh yeah, because if there's one thing the police always do is deal well with domestic issues. They've never once, ever, left someone in a vulnerable position and/or taken the side of the abuser. No, they've always been super awesome and always get it right. That's why on the left we have a saying which is, all police are angels.
Fuck the police. Fuck the police.
More importantly, get the hell out of the house. But she did neither one of those things. Neither one of those things.
Yeah, so look, again, I hate the situation we're in where we have to try to adjudicate this with not enough evidence. Could it be that she's telling the truth? Of course it could be. Now, guys, if it's true, then it's a huge problem, right? But we don't know for sure that it's true. But in a situation like this, even if you say you're not sure that it's true, that's it. People come and take your head off. Because they say once we made an allegation, it's over. You're not allowed to...
Well, no, it's not a matter of that, because you're not just doing the asking questions bit. You're literally saying this is not true. You're casting all of the doubt and taking none of the evidence. You're not doing curiosity. You're doing denial. You're not doing sincere inquiry. You're rejecting the claim.
To object to the allegation. But wait a minute. The thing that caught my attention here, and again, Mika Brzezinski also saying this doesn't look right at all, this is not enough to publish a piece, gives you a sense of we're not making this up, guys, and we're not doing it because we're biased. Look at the fact pattern here. So
no, you are doing it because you're biased. That's precisely why you're doing it.
The thing that caught my eye, Anna, was on the therapist. Because
yes, the therapist didn't want to talk to the press, by the way.
Yeah, the Politico kept saying, well, she says she talked to the therapist, and the therapist does not acknowledge it, but says that they do have a relationship. No, wait.
No. Let's be totally accurate, okay?
Yeah.
The therapist acknowledged that she spoke to her recently about what allegedly happened, but did not want to issue a statement to Politico.
Yeah, so the therapist is not confirming it.
Right.
I mean...
Yeah, because that would be wrong to do. I don't know what it's called in America, but basically, like, an individual patient can reveal their medical history, the medical professional can't. Even if the person comes out and says, you know, expresses their own medical history, the doctor can't, like, confirm or deny anything. It's called medical ethics. That's how that fucking works. There's no... HIPAA, apparently, is the American version of it. It's the doctor-patient confidentiality. Like, motherfucker, you know this. I know this, and you know this. That the doctor can't come out and tell anyone anything. Because there's an absolutely cast-iron agreement that you don't do that as a medical professional. It's very, very, very fucking important, because everyone that goes into your surgery, whether you be a medical doctor, a fucking psychologist, a surgeon, whatever, has to be absolutely confident that they can speak to you frankly. Because if they lie to you, then you can't treat them, because you don't know the exact details of the thing you're trying to treat. You can't diagnose somebody unless you have the facts. So all fucking professionals rely on all other professionals to agree to do this. Otherwise the whole system breaks down. Fucking hell, this is so grotesque.
There's a very easy way to confirm it. Say, hey, I don't want to talk about it, but yes, I confirm that she said that, right?
Which again, they can't do. That's not allowed. So I certainly believe that's the case. Or maybe it's different in America, I don't know, but like, they can confirm that this person is their patient, and that's about it.
And maybe give some context, give a statement, and then look, the therapist is in a tough spot too. It doesn't mean that she thinks is skeptical. We have no idea. But that's the thing. In order to print a story, you're supposed to have two excellent sources, right? So here, the only thing that's a little bit persuasive is those text messages that Anna read to you guys. And so then you guys make up your own mind on whether you think calling someone consensually careless is the same as saying he raped me. So, and by the way, in all of these stories, it's barely ever mentioned that they were in a relationship at the time.
She spent more time elaborating how disgusted she was that he might have slept with a lot of women than she did about the alleged rape. When she's talking to an acquaintance who's asking her about Graham Plattner because she's thinking about fixing a friend up with him.
Yeah, so every person that they go...
Also, consensually careless and he doesn't listen to you when he's drunk does suggest that she's hinting at that. "15 years ago, they were far less awful." What's this?
This story has to do with a woman by the name of Liz Sakuro.
Rapists send apology letter from 15 years ago. Well, yeah, because they were on the left then, weren't they? Whereas now, less so.
Go to the current boyfriend, the therapist, the other folks, people that normally in a story like this go, yes, at the time she told me this, and this is a text message we have, or etc. None of that is here other than the two texts that Anna read you. One of them is barely relevant. The other one is the one that has the careless comment, right? So if you think that's definitive, I'm 100% positive, no problem. Because it's we all make a different choice on how we view it. So look, for me, this is not about whether Graham Plattner did it or not. At this point, that question is almost irrelevant because...
It's over. It's over for
yeah.
him. Yeah.
Everybody pulled their endorsement.
What do you mean it's irrelevant? It's not remotely irrelevant. The reason you want it to be irrelevant is because you would have to explain why you supported a rapist with a Nazi tattoo to become a member of the Senate. That's the reason you want this story to essentially sort of go away. That's why you only want to talk about how the media are attacking him. 'Tis a smear campaign. Rather than actually talk about, the fact that he's probably a rapist? Maybe?
Considered toxic, you can't support him, blah, blah, blah. So we're not trying to fight that battle, guys. We're trying to tell you how politics works and what to be on the lookout for, and how does this process work? Because
see, they're just priming their viewers for the next fucking awful piece of shit they're going to support. Honestly, they're literally doing the same thing that Fox News did. I remember the piece of analysis that someone did that if Fox News had existed during Watergate, Nixon wouldn't have had to resign. Because the thing with Fox News is that they have primed their audience to just listen to the narrativizing that Fox News push out. So you can essentially downplay every horrible, awful, terrible thing that happens to the point where you can make someone appalling like Donald Trump seem like a passable candidate to Conservatives. And they're essentially doing the same thing for the left here. They're trying to prime their audience to not really listen to the facts, but listen to the narrative that we are pushing out there about the candidates that we like. Just, it's very, very cynical. Fantastically cynical.
Were there all these different opposition research groups targeting Susan Collins and calling all of her ex-boyfriends and looking through her text messages, asking about theirs? None, zero. Is there any about like establishment candidates, Democrat or Republican? Almost never. It has to fall right into your lap, right? And again, it's Oppo research usually by other Democrats, right? But do they get targeted? No, the establishment never gets targeted. Never. Yes. But when you have an outsider, Bernie Sanders, Graham Plattner, but a lot of right-wing outsiders too, they rev up the machine. Let's go. Destroy, destroy, destroy. What's interesting about something that...
Can I ask, how is Bernie Sanders not an establishment person? Hasn't he been in the fucking Senate since, like, George Washington or some shit? Like... Don't get me wrong, he's not the most centrist of the Democrats, but like, he'll still vote to fucking send money to Israel. He'll still pass fucking awful pieces of legislation. He's a better kind of cunt. But he's establishment, of course he fucking is.
That Anna mentioned is that in this case, not all the establishment Democrats are united.
No, they're not.
Sonny Hosen also defended Graham Plattner today.
Today?
Today,
That
on
is-
The View.
That's so shocking. Yeah, so, I mean, look, the reason why I bring up the establishment figures who are defending him
Is because you're a rape apologist.
is because this isn't a typical progressive candidate that has the establishment digging in to see what kind of Oppo research they can find to destroy him. I'm sure there are some, but I didn't feel the same treatment toward Plattner that I noticed with other progressive candidates in earlier races or even during, this election cycle. So look, I think that, after he won the primary, all he needed to do was see who was outraged by his win. It wasn't members of the Democratic establishment. It tended to be people who didn't like his stance on foreign policy. I'll just leave it at that. So I don't know.
Jew! Look, at least come out and say Zionist. At least do that, because at least then you genuinely have the defence of saying we mean people who are like supporters of Israel and not all Jewish people. When you just say, those people, whatever, like it's a bit JQ. It's a cheeky bit JQ there. To just be like, see, it's the Jews. The Jews don't like him, so the Jews took him down with their Jewish lies and accused him of rape. Like, that's the obvious insinuation that you're putting out there. It's really, really fucking gross. God, these people disgust, man.
Who dug up the Oppo research. All I know is there's a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to this issue when we literally have...
Yeah, of course there is. We all know that that's the case. Yeah. They love Donald Trump, a rapist. Yeah. They were more than happy to get fucking Beery McBeerface onto the Supreme Court, who is a rapist. Yeah, we know this. Absolutely. But bringing that up to defend your particular chosen rapist isn't really the home run swing that you seem to think it is.
A sitting president who played a massive role in the cover-up of the Epstein files, who has been found civilly liable for sexual abuse in the E. Jean Carroll's case, who has been...
Why isn't it bitches be lying for that? Can I just ask that? Why aren't bitches lying when it comes to Trump? But they definitely are when it comes to Plattner. Like, come the fuck on, man. Jesus Christ. Believe all victims who accuse people I don't like. Whereas it's innocent until proven guilty, unless it's someone I do like. Ridiculous. It is absolutely footballification, yeah. In the cover-up, he's in the files. Yeah, no, well, yeah, Trump's guilty as fuck, obviously, yeah. Yeah, we know. But, like, for me, it's just a symbol that the left are just fundamentally better human beings. Now, don't get me wrong. I do a lot on this channel. In fact, I'm sort of doing a bit now where I'm saying that there are people on the left who aren't fucking cool. We'll get onto that later with Ryan Grimm. And I'm a person who will criticise people on the left because there's nothing more annoying than leftists. They are the most infuriating people on the planet. Trust me, I know them. I've met them, I've moved in their circles. They are infuriating cunts. But on a moral level, they're just significantly better than the right. Because the right will happily get behind fetid scum like Trump. Whereas, whilst there are some very problematic figures on the left, no one of that calibre would ever be tolerable on the left. They're just not. Like, there are some iffy motherfuckers around, and there are some crazy bastards, but like, if someone's outed as a rapist, that's it. Like, there are limits that the left will not go beyond. Whereas for the right, if you're on the right, it's basically everything. They don't care. It's no holds barred. If you support their policies on, you know, foreign policy or taxation, it doesn't matter if you've literally murdered children or raped people or punched a fucking dog to death on live TV. They don't care. Trump was right, absolutely, that he could shoot someone dead and it wouldn't lose him a significant amount of support in the nation. Because the people who love him would say that the person who got shot deserved it, even if that person was like a newborn baby. They'd go full original sin and say he deserved it, you know?
Credibly accused of all sorts of things, including sexual assault and rape by dozens of women. I mean, so are we going to allow this kind of stuff or not? Because it seems like when it comes to certain political figures, it's totally okay, even if in a court of law, civilly, they are found liable of sexual abuse. Even though they are found liable, okay, of engaging in a cover-up of one of the biggest sex trafficking scandals involving minors that we know of in American history. So I don't know, this whole thing is trash. And look,
I agree this whole thing is trash, but the thing that's being described there, Anna, is different between me and you, I think. Just saying.
I hate being put in this position because I've been skeptical of Plattner since the tattoo thing. And you know that because we had it out on the show on that issue. How do you realize you have a Nazi tattoo and wait until you're running for a congressional or for a Senate seat to remove it? Yeah. I just don't get it. I don't understand that. So Plattner wasn't my favorite. I'm not going out of my way to defend him because, you know, he's someone that I desperately want to win. The reason why I'm doing this right now is because I'm looking at the facts we have in front of us.
It's because you're a TERF. Yeah, and you don't actually care about protecting women at all. You're just a TERF. Yeah.
Us right now.
Sorry. Bonus hole. My bad.
And I'm sorry. I just don't think the evidence rises to the occasion of Politico publishing this as if he is already proven guilty as a rapist.
And Jake Tapper was ready with a segment on this as soon as the story broke, so that means that they had some advance notice that it was going to break, and oh, you go to Jake Tapper, put it out there. Okay, so guys, look,
wow, news reporter got advance notice of a story happening. Okay, cool, yeah, because it's not a live event; it's a story that happened 5 years ago or whatever. Yeah.
Definitely don't know exactly who did it. So now we have to look at the puzzle and the context clues, etc. So I said right after it happened, what'll happen is now establishment media will find a new target and they'll start to attack him over and over and over and over again. And it'll probably be someone who's opposed to Israel and corporate PACs and the establishment overall. And guess who's up today? Actually, there's two people. One is Abdul El-Sayed. They have now tried a great number of attacks against him. So before, oh, Hassan Piker was on a campaign with him. That's it. That's disqualified. That didn't work.
Well, I think you mean disbarred from the UK, known terrorist synthesizer Hassan bin Laden Piker the man who did 9/11 personally.
That actually increases numbers. Today they're going with, this Israel stuff isn't working. He once was in favor of defund the police. Okay, so that's a new line of attack against Graham Plattner. So far, 0 lines of attack against Haley Stevens, his opponent. She is an enormous supporter of Israel, has taken an enormous amount of money from the AIPAC. No investigations, no attacks, no targeting, nothing, right?
That's true. But taking money from Polymarket is not establishment. No. As well as having, and I forgot, I didn't even see this, look at the Chiron they have there. Advertising YouTube, Samsung TV Plus, Roku, YouTube TV, LG channels, Prime Video, Twitch X, I don't even know what that is. Oh, Amazon Fire, Zumo, Fubo, and TCL TV. Now, you can say, of course, those are just the platforms they're broadcasting on. True. Don't have to put it on the screen. Don't have to put all of those very, very big corporate entities on your fucking screen, you anti-establishment candidates. Not candidates, you know what I mean. But, you know, the Polymarket populists are very anti-establishment, you understand. Yeah.
Never in the news in a negative way. Abdul, one after another. Tonight, another one. Oliver Larkin, a candidate we featured here just last week. He's running against Jared Moskowitz down in Florida, an establishment Democrat. Very pro-Israel, okay? Oliver Larkin is not. He wants to cut...
Okay, I don't care about this bit. Another one. Okay, so I will say I was disappointed with the fact that the Majority Report had continued to support Graham Plattner, even after the Nazi tattoo and all of the rest of it. But they have at least gone, okay, he's a rapist, that's too much. Boom. And I did see Emma Vigeland apologising for their previous support of him, which again I think is a noble and worthwhile thing to do. However, Ryan Grimm, quote-unquote journalist from Dropsite News, and does a show with what's her fucking name? Crystal Ball. He does a show with Crystal Ball, and it's always seemed like an okay journalist, if nothing else. Not sure about his stance on this particular topic, though. Just saying.
Just to catch people up, earlier this week, you reported that there'd been a detail that had...
Oh, that is very quiet. Apologies.
...been left out of Politico's reporting on the rape accusation against Graham Plattner. Politico didn't include, apparently, that the woman accusing Plattner of this assault had asked him to come over for a glute massage the night of the alleged assault.
That's not technically true. She said she needed a glute massage, not that he should be the one that did it. Emma did not apologise. I thought I heard her say sorry. I literally heard her say sorry. Now, you can argue it's not a very good apology or whatever, that's fine. But she did literally say the words, "I'm sorry." That is an apology, even if you think it's a shit apology. Anyway, the point being that the Rassicot woman literally said, was it, "I need a glute massage," and then he said, "Oh, I'm coming over," and she specifically said, "Do not come over." She said she didn't give a fuck if a politician is a secret Nazi. What? I definitely missed that bit. She said if after sorry. Okay, well I missed that bit. Yeah. Okay. I missed the Nazi bit though. What the fuck's that? Have you got a timestamp for that? That's fucking wild.
However, sorry, what'd you say?
Said she needed a glute massage, but not to ask him for it. Is
Gotcha.
my recollection. Right?
Yeah. And afterwards, she still said, "Do not come over." And you have faced some pushback for reporting this detail. And I guess I'm wondering what you think of that pushback.
Okay, well, if it's not in this video, can you find what video it is in for me, please? Now, I can look for it myself, I suppose, but I am doing a show. And I'm sweating. Because it's too fucking hot.
Back, because this is what I would say, right? Like, we often will say on our show that it's as important, like, the substance of what we say is sometimes even less important than what we choose to highlight or cover, right? And I think that perhaps emphasizing this detail gave a lot of people license to dismiss Jenny's accusation, even if that's not in what the text said. That would be my...
Oh, she was on Fran Frio's show and said some shit. Okay.
My critique, and I'm wondering what you think of that.
Yes,
yeah, I don't think anyone seriously argues with the general idea that if we're going to try a very serious allegation in the court of public opinion, that the information that the media has about that should be public. Like, I think...
Now, that's true, and we'll get to it, but, like, one also has to ask the question whether the information is necessarily pertinent. Now, just because it's not pertinent doesn't mean it shouldn't be in the story, but pertinence is important in terms of changing people's opinion about the story.
I don't generally think that anybody really disagrees with that. And I think it's important to understand exactly how Politico reported this at the time. So I have it in front of me here. They wrote, that night in late 2021, she said she had exchanged text messages with him and told him not to come over, saying she wasn't in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said she realized when she heard a sound on the stairs that he had let himself into her house. So the way that Politico presents it, they were texting, she says, don't come over. And then there's effectively a break-in. Like, that's kind of the impression that you're left with here.
Okay, so presumably Ryan Grimm is about to tell us some absolutely breathtaking secret, which would mean that it wasn't a break-in. Some sort of absolutely bombshell new piece of information, which means actually he did have a right to enter her house. Right?
The door is unlocked, but like, if you don't have permission to come in the house, like, you can't just come in an unlocked house. It's not how it works. Politico was aware that the exchange that they're referencing there included her saying she needed a glute massage, him responding, I'm on my way over, and then she responds, I'm not, don't come, I'm not in the mood for company. We don't know whether or not he got that message, or he was just, drunkenly driving over to her house. There are a lot of people who absolutely do not care about that detail and don't think it's relevant and are okay with it not being included.
So, the information you're giving me here means nothing, really. Now, his own narrativization is interesting here, I think, because he says, "Oh, Politico are narrativizing by telling us it's a break-in when it was a break-in." That's just true. And a very good point of what's his excuse for drink driving. So he drink drives, breaks into a house and rapes somebody, but apparently he's innocent. Amazing. Ryan Grimm's narrativizing here is that, well, he may not have known about it, so it might not have been a break-in, and that somehow means that it's whatever it, that he's not guilty or whatever his absurd fucking suggestion would be. And also that anyone who thinks it's not a pertinent piece of information also doesn't care that it wasn't in the story, which is an interesting assertion, given that I think the only realistic reading of this is that Politico were wrong for not putting it in the story, because you should put all of the information in the story that you have, and that B, it also doesn't fundamentally change the story. So you trying to be like, well, if you don't agree that this is a massive piece of information, you're clearly in the pocket of the media, is pretty gross. That's pretty fucking gross. Don't do that. So I would say this piece of information about the glute massage is something that should have been in the story, but ultimately doesn't actually change anything. Because it doesn't mean he's not guilty of any of the things that he's clearly guilty of. Drink driving, so endangering everyone on the roads of Maine that night. Apparently something not relevant to the candidacy of someone looking to be the senator for that state. Whatever. Illegally entering somebody else's home and then forcibly raping and ejaculating inside somebody who was specifically requested you do none of those things. Absolutely fucking wild that you would come out here and say any of this dumb shit, Mr. Grimm.
There are also many, many people who think that that detail is relevant for his state of mind, and particularly whether or not the implication of a break-in is accurate, which then shapes some of the rest of it.
Like, that shapes some of the rest of it. So he's making this little nugget of information stretch very far here. He's saying that the narrativization of a break-in shouldn't matter or isn't true, and therefore whether or not it's a rape is contingent on that, or something of that nature, I think is what the insinuation is supposed to be here. That essentially by saying I want a glute massage, she's asking for it? Is that the insinuation here? That because she said I need a glute massage, all other things that she said, including these several explicit withdrawals of any consent, mean nothing? Because bitches be asking for it. Like, he's taking it to a new level. He's taking the rape apology to a new fucking level. To a really weird, out there place as well.
And what I would say to the people who don't think it's relevant,
I would
that's
include
fine.
myself in that camp. So yeah,
right, absolutely, yeah. You don't think it's relevant? That's totally fine. We live in a democracy where the entire public is involved in the deliberation of these questions, and so there are many people who do think it's relevant. Like, is it relevant that he was drunk? Like,
but the disqualifying piece is the rape accusation, not the break-in, right? So I guess perhaps this absolves him of the break-in, but wouldn't her saying still, protesting and saying that it was not consensual?
Absolutely. Obviously, if she said, and I thought this was more obvious apparently than it is,
right?
If you say, I need a massage, let's say you say, come over and give me a massage, and he tries to turn the massage into something more than that, and she says no, and he pushes past it, it's obviously still rape. Like, there's zero question about that. But this kind of insistence that the facts aren't really important because of what she says happened in the end, I don't believe. As a journalist,
okay, but how does it change anything in terms of the crimes that have been accused? Like, again, Politico can be wrong for not putting that information in there, but also that this piece of information fundamentally changes nothing about the guilt of Graham Plattner or the fucking reckless violence of Graham Plattner. It doesn't make him not a rapist. Even if we take the most charitable interpretation of this piece of information, as you seem to want to do, Mr. Grimm, which again is telling of your bias, I think, on this occasion. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change a single thing. about the trespass and rape and criminality of Graham Plattner. As much as you are very much putting effort into trying to make it into that, it is not in fact that.
Our job is to put the facts out that we have and then let the public decide whether or not those are relevant. Now, some people said, "Whoa, why don't you put in like what she was wearing?" No, that is completely different.
No, it isn't. Because you're literally trying to do the, well, she was asking for it bit. So at the very least, you're trying to absolve him of the breaking and entering or trespassing or whatever the fuck thing, whatever the particular wording of the crime is in that particular state. You're trying to absolve him of that part of the crime at the very least by saying she asked for it. When she very much did not.
Like, we are talking about two people who had been dating on and off for 2 years at this point. The nature of the text message exchanges that they had that led him to come over is relevant to some people. Doesn't have to be relevant to everybody.
Yeah, rape apologists, yeah.
Everybody to be included, just some people. And I really don't actually think this is a controversial point. I understand why it's so sensitive. You know, particularly, you know, we live in a world where, in a country where sexual assault is just rampant. So many people reading the story have themselves experienced sexual assault and are experiencing it both through the political lens, but also then through the prism of their own experience. So I understand why it's this sensitive for so many people. At the same time, the idea that Politico can have this information and decide on their own not to include it because they're worried about, let's be honest about why they didn't include it. They're worried about what some readers might take from it. That's not Politico's place. That's my.
I mean, so then it's a media critique. Is right?
Clearly.
Well, then,
Yeah.
but then if it is a media critique, then what is the intention of that critique in this moment? Like, do you see how it could serve a secondary, if not purpose, that actually might be outsized, where it causes a large section of less media literate people to disparage this accuser and not take it seriously, just because they're not going to maybe look into the details and just, they're going to take away from it that the reporting was faulty because you have this critique that is more...
Yeah, there's definitely an element of, like, playing on the already, you know, rightly existing distrust of the media in order to try and gin up some doubt in people's minds about a political candidate that you like and therefore you don't want to be smeared. Like, this is obviously political bias nonsense from Mr. Grimm.
Much more narrow than what the takeaway is going to be. I mean, that's the responsibility piece.
I've actually said repeatedly that the fact that Jenny was willing to share this detail with the Washington Post, I believe with CNN, which didn't include it, and with Politico, Washington Post did include it, to their great credit. Nobody read their story because they took more time with it, apparently. The fact that Jenny included this detail, to me, strengthens the credibility of her version of events. Like, it shows a level of confidence in her rendition to share all of it. For Politico, then, to decide on its own, I don't think people can handle this, because that's not what we're going for in this article, is just wrong. And, like, I understand that, like, people are going to be, like, livid at me for, like, putting the reporting out there, but, like, it's not up to, and also we shouldn't, just because people are going to be livid at us, like, that's not a reason to, like, not report something.
No, I'm in agreement with you there. I think, you know, it's just a question, perhaps of timing and, you know, a question of like, where do you place reporting in narrative construction? Like, is timing and emphasis as important as the granular nature of the details? Like, I think it is.
My view is completely different than how the world operates when it comes to these questions. Like, I think there should be I think the public should take more time than it does with these allegations. Like, to have an article come out and then within basically an hour of that article coming out, the decision to have been rendered, I think doesn't do justice to anybody. So but that's not the world we have. Like, the world we have is article, wow, this is awful, done. Like, this is over. I don't want to hear anything else about it. And if you tell me anything else about it, you are justifying what happened. I just don't believe that.
Well, you are justifying it, but okay.
Don't think that's how, like, knowledge creation should exist. I don't think that's how public trials of people should unfold. I am in the deep minority on the left on this.
I understand.
Well,
Right.
I'm in the deep, loud minority on this. I think among the public in general, the two scenarios are different. One scenario being they exchanged text message. She said, "Don't come over." He came over anyway. Is different than two people who had been dating for 2 years, exchanged messages about a glute massage. "Oh, I'm coming over. Actually, I don't want company. Don't come over." Like, those are different scenarios. And the
right. And how does that make him not a rapist? Like, again, you can argue your fucking stupid case about the trespassing thing if you want to. I don't really give a fuck. The fact that they were already in a previous relationship, again, I don't give a fuck. People who are married can rape each other. I don't care that they were in a relationship. He still did a rape. So you getting hung up on this one fucking detail is just, well, apropos of your surname, grim.
public has a right to the actual scenario.
Yes.
And then most of them will look, I think, at that actual scenario and say, he's still guilty and I still want him gone. So that's the other thing that's so striking to me about this.
But was that the takeaway from your audience, or did they take away more that that it was a hit piece?
Most. Well, I think a lot of people believe that this was a
you say it strengthens her claim, but I haven't seen that be the reaction to what the reporting is. It seems like people are taking that as a way to dismiss it.
No, what you're seeing is that, like, within a minute of the article being published, long before I did my own reporting, a huge.
Does anyone have the clip of? I'm scrolling back and I can't find whatever. Does anyone have the clip of the Emma Vigeland talking about the Nazi thing that someone mentioned earlier with Francesca Fiorentino? I don't know.
Huge portion of the public thought that this was a political hit job. Like, period. Like a huge...
Well, yeah, partly because there have been a lot of political hit jobs, and partly because of hacks like yourself, who basically say that anything is a political hit job, regardless of the truth of any of the allegations that get brought forward. Because, again, you aren't really a journalist, you're a hack. Clearly. You sent a link. Did you indeed? I cannot see a link. I'm scrolling back. I can't see one. Are you blocked from being able to see a link? Yeah, you might have to put it in the Discord or something.
Portion.
I mean, thank you for trying, but some people can't do the thing on YouTube. I don't know why.
Particularly in DC, said this is damning. He needs to go. A huge number of people do not have trust in our institutions, and believed that this was an engineered, orchestrated hit job. That's what you're seeing. And so for those people, they may also pick up on what we reported and circulate that. But that is an authentic kind of reaction that a lot of people have had, but it
and
hasn't
in Maine,
been,
yes,
and
right?
in Maine, it's not represented at all in the media.
So the fact that some people are rape apologists means nothing. That's like, why would someone think of the rape? Why aren't the rape apologists being represented in this discussion? is an interesting take. Yeah, if you're blocked on that, you can either try on the Discord or the Twitch chat, and you can post it there. Unless it's 255.
It's been.
Oh, it's 255 got it. Oh yeah, 255's got it. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, because I think we've basically seen enough of Ryan Grimm being a piece of shit. And maybe I've given Emma Vigeland too much credit. Maybe she's also a piece of shit. We'll see.
One of those weeks before we jumped on live, I was like, "How have you been?" And you're like, "I've been better."
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I don't want to make it about me, but it's, I'm getting a lot of online criticism right now, and some of it I don't think is very fair, but, it's the name of the game.
I mean, here's the thing. Doing a daily show for 3 hours, is like, and also talking all the time, like, there are many ways you can be cherry picked and all this. And I think that those of us who know you, who followed your work, we know that, of course, the news this week that Graham Plattner, sexually assaulted an ex-girlfriend, is something that,
This was the part about Nazis. Okay.
Everyone loves.
Oh, thank fuck! It was because that's like 20 minutes in. Jesus. Okay.
Swalwell, and it was like an open secret.
Yes. So I made that point just to say, like, I want we should be talking about I wish we were foregrounding the ideological battle here, how to materially impact people's lives. But it's Plattner's selfishness that has gotten in the way of that. And if people want to come at me and say that, like, I should have found the old Reddit post disqualifying even though he apologized for them, I don't agree with that at all. I still don't agree with that. Right. I think, to your point, we have to give people a path to change. And there's this national influencer.
Okay, but like, what's to suggest that he has actually changed? It isn't the original clip. What isn't the original clip? I don't know. Thank you, Stu, with 11 months on YouTube. Much love. Ola did a great video too.
Online conversation about Graham Plattner that seemed to have no interest in what the voters of Maine wanted. Yeah. It's just about, like, I get to feel morally superior because I am better than Graham and I get a bad vibe from him and whatever. The voters decided that they liked his platform and they voted for him on that. And I'm interested in democracy and politics. I'm not here to go online and have this just like be an ego stroking exercise. It's exhausting. And so
no, I think you're right. I mean, I think the worst thing is, again, using this simply to like dunk on people whose politics you already didn't like, or, take shit out of context. Look, it's a rough analogy you made. It was very hyperbolic to be like, I don't care if AOC is a secret Nazi. I would care. But the point stands, like, you're voting the right way and you see what, like the way the wind is blowing and all this. But
it's just it's a healthier way to view politicians as tools as opposed to like auditioning to be your best friend. Like, exactly. I don't care.
Well, the thing is that, maybe a lot of people are like, no, but Graham Plattner was a secret Nazi or is a secret Nazi.
But I don't think he was. That's the thing is, like, I know
you don't. I know you don't. I'm just saying that that's what people are saying.
That I think he's a rapist. I don't think his ideology is in question. I mean, there's nothing that would indicate that. And so, like,
having a Nazi tattoo would potentially indicate that. Because unless you believe he did not know what it was for years, and that when he did become aware of it, it still took him 3 fucking years to get it covered up, that would indicate he's at the very least far more comfortable with having Nazi iconography tattooed upon himself than I think a non-Nazi would be. Here's the interview. What interview? What?
So as of 9 a.m.
Why the left ignored... Oh, so it wasn't with... Oh, okay.
Wednesday morning, Graham Plattner is yet to drop out of the main Senate race. And this comes after Politico reported that an ex-girlfriend accused him of rape, and the Washington Post reported that another ex-girlfriend accused him of removing condoms without consent. Now, Graham...
I don't know who this dude is, by the way. Apologies to him. But this is on Vox, apparently.
Plattner has denied any allegations of non-consensual behavior, but his political support has already collapsed. He's lost endorsements from members of Congress. He's lost funding from the Democrats' national campaign arm, the DSCC.
Thank you, Almond Joy.
And he's lost the support of prominent backers, one of whom is Emma Vigeland. She's the co-host of the Majority Report podcast, and until this week, she has been openly supportive of Plattner's candidacy. She joins me now to talk about what lessons should be taken from the Graham Plattner debacle. Let's dig in. All right, so the main Democratic Party has made a public plea for Plattner to drop out of the race, and I'm frankly shocked that he hasn't already. Are you?
I guess I'm not shocked because I do think they're trying to use whatever leverage they think that they have to pick a replacement that is going to match the platform that catapulted him to an essentially 50-point victory over Janet Mills in the primary. But obviously the deadline is Monday in terms of ballot access. He needs to drop out by the 13th. And then they're going to have, I think, until July 27th to find a replacement for him on the ballot. So time is of the essence in this way. But am I surprised he hasn't dropped out yet? No, I'm not surprised because I think the campaign infrastructure and the main Democratic Party are currently in a battle, and it's going to last probably until Monday.
Do you expect it to last through that deadline?
I would expect it because I think that there are going to be a lot of people that try to put forward a more, friendly establishment candidate, and the National Democrats are going to be pushing that route as well. I think it's important that whoever takes up the mantle here matches the platform that platform had, or at the very least is closer to it, because frankly, I think while we're immensely, betrayed here on the left, and I feel a lot of responsibility for the fact that our show was supportive of Plattner, and myself as a woman as well, and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
I do think that it's getting lost a little bit in the conversation about his personal conduct, that this is a movement of collectivism and not about individuals. Like, the past 10 years of democratic socialism becoming more mainstream it was sparked by the Bernie Sanders movement, and his whole ethic was not me, us.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to use that framework to talk about the Plattner campaign here. So
you're saying that he still has a base of support that powered him to that nomination that deserves to be respected in its ideals, is the argument I hear you making?
That is a much more articulate way of describing what I was trying to say there. But yeah, like cutting off arms to Israel, taxing billionaires, Medicare for all. This is what my hope is, that whoever ends up taking over here, I hope that they support those ideas, because that's what the voters wanted. It wasn't about Plattner's voice, the cut of his jib. It was about what he stood for.
But is that a leverage that...
Hey, hello, the Kevin FM. Everyone go and follow the Kevin FM immediately.
Plattner has earned? Like, couldn't that be a conversation that happens after he drops out? It feels like the dropout question is a moral one that some of that, like, kind of talks above. Like, why can't we just talk about that after he drops out?
I think that's a fair question. I think that there's also a moral question about representing the voters' interests in terms of the platform that he stood for. I think there is a moral question about him and his personal conduct. That is one that I think will inevitably result in him dropping out. But
you don't think there's any question that he does drop out?
I don't think there's any question. He cannot withstand this at all, and he should not. He should not. These allegations are credible. They're serious. They're heart-wrenching. I feel for the victim and that she felt that she had to come forward here, because the initial New York Times piece about his unsettling behavior did not contain in it allegations of sexual assault or forcible rape like this Politico article did. It seems like the Times maybe knew that this allegation was out there, but they were unable to corroborate it. So the piece was very odd because it was written in the tone of something more sinister than was even in the text. And it left us wondering, and maybe I even jumped to some assumptions about why they were stretching. It seemed like they were stretching information. Turns out Politico was able to corroborate this account, and it paints all of the past allegations of unsettling behavior and grabbing and drinking in a whole different light. So,
right, now that's true, but this is the problem I have with giving the benefit of the doubt to people like Emma Vigeland or Carl Kalinske or whoever, is that they are sharp enough minds to be able to work out the relevance or otherwise of those sorts of claims, right? This is what they do for a living. And you have to willingly overlook so much shit with Graham Plattner to get to the point where it's finally the rape apology or the rape accusation that is enough for you to be like, okay, that's too much. Like, you've actively overlooked so much really unsettling shit about him and his personal conduct over the course of many years. None of which is necessarily entirely illegal, but I don't think illegality is necessarily the yardstick we need to use. You have willingly overlooked stuff that I wouldn't want to be, stuff that would make me not want to be a friend of somebody, let alone elect them to high office. And you're not stupid people, so I can't give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you didn't see it, because you definitely did.
So his personal conduct, there's no way I'm going to defend it, but I am also quite wary of the vacuum that's being left and how there might be some moneyed interest within the Democratic Party that want to turn back the clock and put forward a candidate that doesn't represent the platform that voters in Maine decided was Democratic primary voters in Maine
Sometimes
decided
maybe
was
good,
what they
sometimes
wanted to
maybe
see
shit.
represented in the United States Senate.
Appreciate you putting up with this crap in the heat too.
Oh, much love. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Stratus, with a very generous donation. Yeah, thank you. To be fair, it is now past midnight, so it has cooled down to a vaguely civilized temperature. But I am still a bit sweaty. But thank you.
You know, I do think that, like, when I look at the video the Maine Democratic Party put out last night, they are saying that they want a public process and that there's been talk about things like a mini primary. So it seems as if voters might have a possible say even in this period. But I do get your concerns about the kind of question of ideology. I just wanted to make clear, like, when you read that story from Politico, did you think, I regret my... You're saying you regretted your support for Plattner immediately from that article because of the new information that came out?
I mean, regret. I'm not
Sorry,
sure.
I shouldn't put that in your mouth. I guess I'm asking, did that make you think back?
See, he's a much nicer man than I am, because he wasn't putting words in her mouth. He was asking her a question so she can decide whether she regret is the word she likes or not. But, like, why would you not regret this? Because it was clearly fucked up. Like, you can say, given the information that I had available to me, this is the best course of action I felt, but I regret it now. Fine. But, like, come on now. Come on now. Again, you have to have overlooked so much fucking nonsense. This is not credible. Again, this person is way nicer than I would be about this. Like, and that speaks well to that person's character, I suppose. But either way, like, you don't need to be kid gloves. Actually, maybe you do. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Maybe you need to suck up to rich and powerful people to, like, get on in the industry, maybe. Whereas I would just say, like, the fuck were you thinking? You had a fucking Nazi tattoo. Or that wasn't a problem for you. The fact that he knew it was an arty tattoo and didn't get it covered up for fucking 2 years, that wasn't enough for you. Fuck's sake.
Back to your previous...
Like, I wrote this motherfucker off years ago. Not years ago, a year ago, whatever. When the Nazi thing came out, I was like, that's enough. I don't know. Fuck this guy. Is Emma rich and powerful? Well, in terms of like the leftist media landscape, yes. Look, if you want to have like, it's in a similar way that mainstream journalists don't want to piss off politicians because they need the access. And by the way, I'm not throwing shade at this dude because I don't know him, whatever. But like, a lot of people will curry favour with the well-connected, like, you know, Carl Kalinske or whomever, in order to get access to and get, you know, bookings from / with you know, other well-known figures, because it's all about like clout chasing and networking and all that sort of thing.
Advocacy and say, I shouldn't have advocated for this man?
I think it made me, I don't know if it made me think I shouldn't have advocated for this man in particular. I think, you know, I
What the fuck? This is like the Prince Andrew thing. When he was like, he was asked in that famous interview about, do you regret your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? And he was like,
I'm not sure I would say I regret that, actually. It was fine, you know.
And you're like, motherfucker, you've got to say, yes, I regret that shit at that point. Like, you have to. There's no fucking... That's... Jesus Christ, you don't have to be a fucking trained PR expert to know that that's the answer you have to give, right? And in this situation, just come out and say, yeah, I shouldn't have fucking advocated for the guy. Even if you want to then go on to explain why you did and why you felt that was the best thing at the time, given the information you had and so on and so forth. Which, by the way, again, I'm not fucking buying it, but whatever. You can make that argument. But you can't say, I'm not sure I would say I regret that. It's just pathetic. Just stop it. Stop playing that game. It's a very not sleazy, that's not the right word. It's a kind of cynical politician's answer. It's gross.
I made an assessment based on the information that was available, and I'm not.
There you go.
I think that there are a lot.
As you can tell, I couldn't even find this video, so there's no way I pre-watched it. So you can't fucking come at me with that shit.
I am wary of over-focusing on an individual's personal character over their platform. You know, I've said this before. I don't really care if, say, like Bernie Sanders or AOC go home and they're a secret Nazi, but they go out and they vote for the right things. Like, we're talking about...
What the actual fuck are you doing? What the fuck? I thought, when someone said she had said that, I thought it must be a joke. She must be doing like a bit, right? You don't care if they're a secret Nazi. I genuinely don't know what to say to that. I'm so flabbergasted. I thought here on the left we had all decided quite a long time ago, in fact long before any of us were alive, Nazis were bad. Nazis, in fact, are actually not cool people, and that if someone is a Nazi, that is not someone for whom we should have any amount of support whatsoever. My ignorance as to the feelings of other leftoids apparently is much more significant than I thought, because I thought we'd all agree to that, but do I have anything on the soundboard that even that even begins to
a bunch of fascist slags.
That'll do. Right, we'll take it back. We'll take it back a few seconds and just okay. Now we know what. Now we know what's coming. Let's try to let's try and take it in.
Form. You know, I've said this before. I don't really care if, say, like Bernie Sanders or AOC go home and they're a secret Nazi, but they go out and they vote for the right things. Like, we're talking about
you don't care.
As I mean,
look, again, he's a much nicer person because he's like obviously shocked and being like, "You don't care," but like he's laughing about it. I presume nervous laughter rather than anything, but still, like I'm disgusted. What the fuck? What are you doing? Also, Bernie Sanders as a Jewish man being a secret Nazi would be an interesting. That would be a very interesting philosophical outlook from him. I mean, that would be unironically a genuinely self-hating Jew at that point. Probably, right? Jesus fucking Christ.
I don't know about that. I'm like, that's a. I think these are the lines that people are talking about. Some people care about that exact thing.
He's such a lovely man. Oh, God bless him. Oh, I want to shake his hand and buy him a drink. He's a lovely human being. Yeah, some people do have a problem with that. That's the nicest possible way you could say that. Oh, what a wonderfully polite gentleman. Oh, fucking Christ almighty. Yeah, some people do have a problem with Nazis. Nah. Jesus Christ, oh no. Oh no, what have I done?
But why would it matter if they're public officials and they're doing the right thing in public? That's an extreme.
Because they're fucking. I don't know what else needs to be said. I don't know what else needs to be said. They are a Nazi. They are literally a Nazi. They're a Nazi. If that's not enough for you, because they also vote for Medicare for all, like, I think you might not have your head in the right space. I feel like you need to reevaluate some shit. I feel like you might have gotten lost in the source of the footballification of everything. It's not just red team versus blue team. Like, if they're a Nazi, that's the end of the discussion. We don't need to be like, they're a Nazi, oh, but they also, you know, support investment in rail infrastructure. Because the thing that they're building the railways to are camps to kill people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what else needs to be said other than this person is a Nazi. That is the end of it. By the way, I'm not even necessarily saying Graham Plattner is a Nazi, although again, my suspicions are that he, at the very least, was at one point. And we have to allow that people can change and improve themselves, but if you're a Nazi who decides you're not a Nazi, A, you did know that the tattoo you had was a Nazi tattoo, so you're a bullshitter. And B, why did you not get it, like, instantly covered up? And be honest with people and say, yeah, well, I was a Nazi. I was. But I've improved. Because that can happen, by the way. The fantastic example, of course, was Robert Byrd, right? He was a former US senator, I want to say, who was a former fucking... I forget the exact title he had. It was something ridiculous like the Grand Exalted Cyclops of the KKK. Because the KKK loved having those crazy-ass names. They'd have, like, fucking... There were ridiculous names like that. Anyway, he was like a leader of a KKK group, right? Way back. We're talking, like, in the fucking 60s or some shit, right? and then realised that that was like fucked up and completely changed his whole bit. And he was never like, he never hid the fact that he was formerly the KKK, stood for the Democrats, became a member of Congress or the Senate, and literally got an A+ rating from the fucking NAACP. Like, that's how much he had changed. The National Association for the Advancement of Coloured People gave a former KKK member an A+ rating. Because he did the work to become a better person. So that it can happen, but you do have to be honest. You can't pretend you weren't a Nazi. Because surely one of the things you have to do in order to get better is realise that and be and literally fucking and admit that you have a problem in the first place. Do you know what I mean? But they're not doing that. He's not doing that. So yeah, maybe he's an Nazi, you know. It was Grand Cyclops. There you go. Yeah, fucking Grand Cyclops of the KKK. Which, by the way, like, is there any more small dick energy than having to give yourself the name Grand Cyclops? Really? You couldn't just be called, like, regional leader or something, like Grand Cyclops. Pathetic. Thank you, 255. What are you saying? Do you think it would be possible to have someone who's secretly a Nazi but also for some reason votes for progressive stuff? Like, my answer to her is no such politician could exist, so it's a silly hypothetical. Well, like I say, it depends exactly what your person's priorities are. Because if they're like a congressperson, they can't enact a genocide by themselves, but they could vote for, like, infrastructure or healthcare for all. And these are things that a Nazi could support. These are things that a Nazi could, in theory, like, the Nazis were certainly in favour of, like, public works projects and things like that. It's not beyond the realms of being a Nazi to support something like infrastructure spending. So if all you care about is getting fucking roads built or some shit, like, then you could probably support someone like that. But the problem is, of course, I think you make a good point that it would be difficult for them to not show that they're a Nazi in secret. If that makes sense. Maybe not a Nazi, but red-brown. Yeah, I guess, yeah. But I suppose we're using Nazi a bit interchangeably or whatever. Thank you, NYC guy with the bitty bits, who says, I think the principle here is that what matters is the policy that is enacted, not someone's private views. Although I don't see how you could be a progressive politician and have Nazi views. It's a strange way to illustrate the point. True. And also, just like, it's a bad look. Don't come out and say, I don't care if someone's a Nazi. Like, that's just a really whack thing to do, which makes me... It definitely makes me think less of your internal kind of ethical compass. Because for me, that's a red line. Like, that's like complete, like, no-no. If someone is a Nazi, if someone holds those kind of extreme, violent, genocidal views, I don't care if they also support transport policy that I like. Like, it's just fucking gross. Do not do that. Like, I have to trust that you as a fellow leftist are on my side and won't betray me. And if you tell me that you might betray me if this person's only like, oh, secretly a bit of a Nazi, but like, they also don't want to give money to Israel, even though the reason they don't want to give money to Israel is because Jews, rather than genocide, you know? Because they like the genocide, they just don't want to pay for it. And that makes me think that, well, maybe I can't fucking trust you then, you know? Anyway.
Extreme example to essentially say that these are politicians who are people that they're levers of power and they're tools. I'm not here to say that they're like, you know, the greatest person on the planet. This is about a representation of the values of a party platform, about taxing billionaires, about bringing material differences to people's lives and changing their lives. And that's what I value more than anybody's individual conduct. Because, I mean, as said, how many horrible people are in Washington right now?
For sure, but I
who
know
are
you
centrists or
Okay, so you just want to like your okay, but there's a sort of hypocrisy here. If you accept that Washington is full of like evil people, why do you want to send another evil person, but they happen to support your views? Because that you're just making more evil people in Washington.
center right. It's just that there is a over focus, I think, sometimes on the character of left-wing candidates. Daria-Lisa Avila-Chevalier just faced this in her race up in New York 13, and they get picked apart in ways that others don't, because particularly about their stances on taxing billionaires and frankly on cutting arms to Israel.
I guess I'm saying, though, like, I totally understand the focus on ideology over individual conduct, but there is the question of winning elections.
It's not even just the winning elections. Like, in terms of personal conduct, I don't care if someone drinks a bit heavy, or I don't care if someone swears a bit much, and I don't care about whether someone gambles or something like that. I do care if they're a rapist. Like, having some moral foibles is one thing. I can overlook that. I'm fine. Well, not fine with it, but I can overlook it. What I can't overlook is like murdering somebody, or being in favour of genocide, or being a rapist, or abusing animals, or you know what I mean. Like, these things are beyond the pale. These things are unacceptable. I don't care how good your politics are beside that.
And some of these personal conduct scandals have the effect of dooming folks in that race. I mean, the reason why Plattner was under scrutiny and was running behind other Democratic candidates, not just because of scrutiny out of nowhere, but because of former Reddit posts, a tattoo that he seemingly, there were conflicting timelines about whether he knew it was linked to Nazism or not, and previous allegations of infidelity. Like, there are people who see those questions of moral character as central to elected office. I guess I wanted to just...
The infidelity is an interesting one. Because, I mean, it's certainly not a red line in as much as I don't think someone who has cheated on someone is necessarily barred from, like, or should be barred morally from public office. But it is a pretty gross thing to do. I don't know that I've ever really thought about it, in all honesty. Certainly not much. I think I'd probably be prepared to vote for someone who had cheated on like a wife or husband, but had accepted that what they did was wrong and come out and said it was a mistake and so on, and had tried to mend their ways. I think I'd be okay with that. But it is a bit wrong. It does lead to questions about whether you can be trusted. Are you an honest person? Do you keep to pledges that you've made? Because, like, if you make pledges in front of your God that you will be faithful to this one person and you didn't, can I trust you that you're going to make non-binding agreements in a manifesto and actually stick to those instead? Like, I don't know, man. Like, if you're prepared to risk half of your shit for some pussy, I think you're probably more than happy to, like, make promises to me at a ballot box that you're not going to keep. Like, that's gross.
Be like, were there warning signs? I want to ask clearly, were there warning signs the left blew through?
Definitely. I mean, I would say that is a part of my assessment of looking back on it. And yes, there were warning signs about his personal character. And I will say that you see now.
Well, if they're poly, it's not cheating, is it? Because that's like the understanding, I think. Right?
When the vetting process that was, or the lack thereof, that was highlighted in the Wall Street Journal was immensely concerning. And, you know, there's a lot. yeah, you say that some of these people care about personal character, but most of the people that are taking a victory lap over a sexual assault allegation also supported Bill Clinton, also supported Andrew Cuomo last year. I mean,
Yeah.
like, there's hypocrisy.
There's a hypocrisy
all over
to go
the
around.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm being forthright in saying that, like, up into a point where we're talking about forcible sexual assault, rape, or an action, a criminal act like that,
Mhm.
you know, I'm less concerned with past Reddit posts since he's apologized for it and
Mhm.
said he's learned. I'm less concerned with you know, internet history, and Daria Lees is another example of this. When you apologize.
Okay, but like he also became a mercenary and did several tours of Iraq as a mercenary, as a paid foot soldier of genocide and imperialism. Something that, like, he doesn't seem to think of himself as the perpetrator of, but the victim of. Which he willingly signed up to do, repeatedly. I'd say that's a worrying sign. No? Okay. There was something else I wanted to get to with this particular topic. Because again, talking about the red flags of Graham Plattner, a person who I would like to say was a friend of the show, but I've never spoken to as far as I'm aware, but someone whose content I certainly like, Aliyemi Olurin, apologies profusely for the mispronunciation, why the white left fell for Graham Plattner. We won't watch the whole thing because it is over an hour long, but we'll try and get through some of it. Yeah. There were lots of red flags that people chose to ignore.
Graham Plattner finally withdrew from the race for Senate after briefly holding the party at proverbial gunpoint following mass calls for him to withdraw after he was publicly accused of essaying an ex-girlfriend. The news of these allegations were devastating to all the supporters who championed Plattner for his pro-working class platform, and completely unsurprising to those of us who'd been scratching our heads wondering how an ex-mercenary with a Nazi tattoo who bragged about killing people shot to prominence among leftists and progressives in the first.
Yeah, literally, like there were so... There are so many things that bring him into doubt. The fact that it took this long is fucking wild.
Place. But even more confusing than how he obtained the support of the progressive left and people in institutions like Bernie Sanders and the DSA is how he maintained that support even after several scandals clearly indicated he was not who his stated platform purported him to be. That's what I really want to get to the bottom of. And to do so, I spoke to Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report, Lance of the Serfs, and Too Raw, Too Real to help me figure it out. My name is Olayemi Olurin, and this is O Squared. So the first thing we've got to establish is, who is Graham Plattner and where did he come from?
He kind of came out of nowhere. He very clearly wasn't vetted, but I don't know how he...
I know the origin story is not true. The one that he's coming from kind of, lower class, hardworking farm.
Was his dad a toolmaker? Because that's the only thing that matters.
Farmer.
Yeah, I know he's wealthy.
He comes from a wealthy family, so
Yeah.
that also erases the you did
Wealthy
tourism
murderer.
duty uniquely because the
You know, they
poverty
used to come from a wealthy family and want to go to war, like because
Right?
you want to
Yeah.
kill people. Like you would assume, it's this like working class white background that he like went to war. That makes it even sicker. Because that's like a true, it was already sick because he'd already expressed that he wanted to kill people. Like that was,
Yeah.
we already knew that. But the fact that you're a rich guy, like you're a wealthy white guy decides to go to war because he wants to kill people. If you didn't know who Graham Plattner was before clicking on this video or why he's in the news right now, this is your summary. Graham Plattner is a 41-year-old former Marine who was
Thank fuck. For a second, it sounded like the setup for like a bit where she was going to like go into a paid like a shill. She was going to do the this is the way you find out with fucking ground news. Like I thought it was going to be an advert read. Oh, it wouldn't have been a good look. Oh.
Democratic nominee running for Senate in Maine against Susan Collins. Plattner quite literally just got into politics in 2025 when he was asked to run by community groups who evidently saw it for him. Despite being brand new to politics, the streets loved him. Plattner was endorsed by everybody and their mama, from Bernie Sanders to Elizabeth Warren to Ro Khanna to the DSA, all of whom have now rescinded their endorsements and called for him to withdraw from the race. It's worth mentioning that AOC declined to endorse Plattner and was criticized for not doing so. That aged well for her. Plattner became...
Why did she? What was the reason she gave for that? Or did she not give a reason? I don't know. Kev's going to be pissed at the World of Tanks ad. True.
so popular.
Also, is it just me? Has anyone else been getting loads of adverts for the fucking Mormon church on YouTube? I must have gotten about fucking 50 adverts, and it's the same one of a young girl going,
"Hi, would you like a gift? I'm from the Church of Latter-day Saints, and this is the Book of Mormon."
And then I click off because it's one of those ones you can escape after 10 seconds. It's fucking awful.
Easily won the Democratic primary in June 2026. The thing I never truly understood is why.
So I think that the obvious reason why he's popular is because he has a very progressive platform. He supports Medicare for all, opposes the
yes, every day, and the RAF. Yeah, that's another one, the RAF. We're a team of teams. Fuck off, you cunts.
genocide in Palestine, wants to cut off the weapons.
Should explain for America that means Royal Air Force, the RAF.
To Israel. So pretty standard progressive positions. On top of that, this is more of an unsaid thing. I think that he codes as Republican, which is a plus to a lot of people. You know, when you look at liberal candidates and progressives even, they come off as overly technocratic, nerdy, like someone like me, right? Who's like, I don't want to vote for that guy. Look at him. But with Graham Plattner, he's like this straight alpha male. You know, he's not a pussy. So he kind of subverts expectations for what we expect on the left. So there's that appeal as well. He's also just kind of like, he's a reasonably intelligent person who can speak well. So juxtaposing him against Susan Collins and then Janet Mills, it's like, yeah, it seems like a really easy bet.
Being in white male patriarchy is a problem regardless of what party you might identify as. And we need to start really unpacking that. We really need to start rethinking how we choose candidates. And also, I don't know if you actually paid attention, there's this guy, he's also part of DSA. He actually recruited Graham Plattner, which is funny. One of the big heads in the DSA movement, his name is Dan Morath, I do believe. He actually recruited him and said, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a semi-back.
What was the Graham? So Plattner's Daniel Morath, barred from Summer Lee's campaign over sexual misconduct complaint. Oh. Okay. God damn. There's a lot of fucking rapists around, man. What the fuck? The DSA didn't endorse Plattner. Really? What's she talking about then? Because this guy was in the DSA, right? Was he just sort of connected loosely to the DSA or some shit?
He actually recruited him and said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do a semi-background check, which they didn't even do the real vetting process. Normally, vetting process can take up to a couple of weeks, and they spend about almost $20,000, and they just run through all the things you've ever done, said, anything you've ever, you know, whether you've enlisted, what job.
The vetting for me would be really interesting, because I'd have never done any shit like rape, but like I've done so many bad jokes. How many fucking dead people's corpses have I fucking defiled? Dead fascists though, so it's fine, right? As part of like, as a reward for you giving me money. Do you know what I mean? Like, look, honestly, the people who do the vetting for me would that might be the first example of a vetted like giving up. Just being like, you know what, I resign. I can't do this. It's too much. They didn't fully endorse, but recommended or some shit of second tier endorsement. Oh, so it was like a soft endorsement thing rather than like an official. You should definitely vote for this guy. Okay. Peter Yum Yum levels of vet. Yeah.
Jobs you've had, who you were married to, past relationships. They do a full background check on your ass, okay? They could do a full sweep. They expedited this shit in 3 days.
I mean, we want people who didn't run for student council, right? We want people who have not.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Okay. We didn't want people with any previous like level of civic engagement. Fucking hell. Okay.
Been spending their entire lives planning their ascent to political power.
But a string of controversies have triggered.
No, instead we wanted a guy who willingly became willingly signed up to be a mercenary in America's genocide in Iraq multiple times. Which is way better than standing for student council. Honestly, the DSA is kind of wild, man. And it's such a shame, because every DSA member I've like talked to online has been okay. Or actually really good. But the people who run DSA seem like scumbags. A lot of them anyway. You know? I danced on Kissinger's dead corpse with wooden clogs. Oh, so that's where the bruisings came from. Okay. I did wonder when I'd fingered his corpse. I was like, that seems very strange. These kind of weird shoe imprints on his chest and face. Didn't think too much of it though. I had digital business to attend to.
Questions over whether Plattner was thoroughly vetted before entering the race.
You hadn't vetted Graham Plattner. You hadn't done a full scrub of who he is. How did you go about vetting him?
We paid a nice firm a whole chunk of money and got some stuff back.
This guy seems far happier with his own existence than he deserves to be. I'm just going to put that out there.
Some of what you've seen on the news we got back. Other stuff we didn't.
Did the vetting process turn up the tattoo that?
Jesus Christ! I mean, just look at it. You didn't know that was a Nazi tattoo. Motherfucker! What are you talking about? What kind of shenanigans is this? Fuck off, man.
Became so controversial?
No.
The Reddit posts, did that turn up in the vetting process?
The firm sent us a thing and it had some of the posts, but it didn't have all of them.
Oh my god. Jesus fucking Christ.
And what did you think about that? How did you think your way through the fact that he had posted these things on social media?
I said none of this, will or
Yeah, see you later, Layla. Thanks for stopping by. Jesus, honestly, the DSA leadership are wrong-uns.
Should stop him from becoming a U.S. Senator.
And what was your thinking there?
I think if what the voters wanted were people who were grown in vats and had never done or said anything that they might regret.
Well, who talks like this, by the way? I didn't want to make it about his voice, but it's very, very annoying.
At their entire lives, we'd have a very different country. Part of our thesis here is that people do not want their candidates grown in vats. They want people who are real human beings, and they want people who do not look and sound like the vat-grown people who've been leading this country off a cliff for the last century. And that was Graham.
They didn't even try to do their due diligence. They just said, this is the white man. We don't give a f. We're going to field test this shit. I don't care how egregious his past may be. They're going to pick the whitest, safest bet, and this is the man that can do it.
You might think that because people were so sold on Plattner, that means there weren't any warning signs. But you would be wrong. There were many reasons Graham Plattner should have given us pause.
The problem...
He does sound like RFK Jr.
However, with Graham Plattner, is that aside from the Nazi tattoo, and the thing that really was a sticking point for me is that he talked about his vet service in his announcement video. He didn't serve one tour and then get out, because this is
like that. I'd have been prepared to overlook that if he just like signed up for the military, he gets sent to do in the war, it's fucked up, but he realizes it's fucked up, and when he gets out, he leaves and is like, fuck this, and speaks out against it, and like, all of that. I can that would have been fine. The fact that he signed up, was it 3 times to go back and be a mercenary in Iraq? Nah, you're a cunt then. Nah, bruv, that's too much. You're a full-grown adult who knew the exact truth of what was going on in Iraq, and you purposely signed up to take the blood money. Fuck you then. Fuck you to the ends of the earth. I want no part of it. Also, it does rather call into question the Nazi thing, because like, there would have been plenty of people in those mercenary units who were Nazis. We know that full well. They'd have seen that tattoo, and it would have been pointed out to him. Like, there's no fucking way he didn't know that it was a Nazi tattoo. And that's assuming he didn't know it was a Nazi tattoo before he got it, which is also plausible.
He kind of presented himself as, or it was implied rather, because I don't know that he was really that explicit about this, but there's this idea that he was one of these anti-war vets who got out disillusioned and really wanted to change the system after witnessing what he saw. The problem with
he was like Lieutenant Dan.
That narrative is that it's completely fabricated, and I think a lot of people projected what they wanted to on him. So he served not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 tours, and then he went to work for Blackwater. And when I say that he served like 4 tours, he wasn't like a receptionist, he wasn't a medic, like he was in Fallujah and Abu Ghraib. And it's not just that he very clearly was addicted.
He was the guy that Lindy England wanted to be. There's a deep cut name. When was the last time you heard the name Lindy England?
To violence. He went on Reddit. We have all the Reddit posts where he would talk about how he just fucking loved killing. He's to be fair, he said, I don't love killing, but the reward that comes with it.
I saw a post today like of him being like he was really looking forward to killing people, or the adrenaline. I seen him be like, I'm looking forward to being a murderer. Like,
yes, very, very explicit. Like, I love killing people. There's nothing like it. There's no feeling in the world that even comes close. I love fucking killing people. It's amazing. And there were so many tweets like this. And then the Blackwater. And then here's where I think that things get murky. So you can see the Reddit posts where he's talking about this privately, but also there's so many things in his history that lead you to believe, well, maybe this redemption arc is true. When he was 19 years old, I believe, he protested Bush because of the Iraq War. So that's commendable, right? Problem is that like 6 months later, he's like, I want to fight in that war now and kill brown people. So, right. There's so much there. And then the Blackwater thing. You know, he claims he never worked for Blackwater. He worked for Constellus, which, to be clear, is Blackwater.
He
was never.
They rebadged it, you fool. Yeah, it's the same organization. Yeah.
Never really pushed on this by any of the independent media shows that brought him on, which I was really disappointed in because there's so much wishy-washiness there. It's an obvious lie that this should be like, hey, you have to explain this. You know, there's no reason for this discrepancy. If you really are anti-war, you've got to explain this one because Blackwater, this is War Crimes Incorporated. It's a PMC that committed war crimes. Trump pardoned Blackwater war criminals. Plattner worked for them during Trump's first term. And, you know, if you go back to these old newspaper clippings of Maine, there's a picture of him wearing his Blackwater hat where he's saying, yeah, I wear it to get a rise out of people who are mad about their heavy-handed tactics, in the mean streets of Baghdad. And to be clear, he didn't say that. That's how the article presented it. So he told them that, and they're paraphrasing what he said.
Right.
On top of that, you see him in pictures with a Blackwater magnet on his fridge, next to his pro-Israel influencer brother, who published a book on how Israel is okay to commit genocide and destroy their neighbors. And that's not relevant. Like, you can't control who your brother is. But, you know, for being against genocide, it's weird that he inexplicably, on October 7th of 2025, you know, says that all the Israeli hostages needs to be released and for the war to end. Not calling it a genocide then, you know, not talking about the Palestinian hostages. And hours later, after seeing that leftists were displeased, saying, yeah, it's a genocide. So he's just all over the place. And the thing that is really difficult for me just personally to overlook is he likes murdering people. So if you like murdering people, then...
Yeah, if you like murdering people, and you have a Nazi tattoo, and you've murdered lots of people, and you're a rapist, like, does seem like some people on the left need to reevaluate some shit, I think.
There's going to be literally nothing that is beneath you. Maybe you'll torture someone. I would rather be tortured than murdered. So that's less, like, everything on the scale, is beneath murder, right? So of course, other types of violent crimes, such as rape, that's also not going to be surprising.
As far as Graham Plattner goes, I just believe that he is their white knight. They've been waiting for somebody who, on paper, has all of the things that they... all of their values, right? But however, with that type of past, isn't that not problematic? Everything that y'all claim to be about when it comes to...
I also think he's what the leftists who understand the culture war a bit better than liberals do or whatever, think they need to have like a macho man. Think that they need a look, and it's toxic and it's fucking weird patriarchal bullshit, but they think they need to have like super macho manly man, and he was a veteran. He was a veteran and a macho boy and big muscles and blah blah blah, you know, all that shit. And so they're prepared to overlook some crazy shit in order to like support that guy who also supports Medicare for all. Again, I think there are some people on the left who need to reevaluate some shit, is all I'll say. Because, you know, it's all very fucking pathetic in all honesty, but, you know.
Protecting the most vulnerable, believing women, protecting the most marginalized, making sure that everybody has a seat at the table, and making sure that we're not offending someone. But for someone who says that you're anti-genocide but has a tattoo on one's body that represents a genocide of another person, it's an oxymoron. It's like, what are we doing here?
He was perfectly positioned to make everyone...
Not just that, but with his fucking record in the military, it was a part of a genocide as well. Like, he did some genocide and has a tattoo that supports the genocide, but he's anti-genocide? You have an interesting way of showing that, you know?
Have a moral stance where they could yell at one another, right? Like, if you, like Mike was saying, if you oppose him, you're a Zionist, you're a shitlib, you're promoting Susan Collins, or you're promoting genocide because he's the one who's going to be anti-genocide, so you. And it's like, he participated in colonial imperial bloodbaths. That man, like, this is not a dude who was just like a medic in the back of a tent waiting to help people. This was a dude who was bragging about how great it is to slaughter, other human beings. So
can you stop swearing, please? I won't have this kind of uncouth behaviour on my channel, cuntbag.
Mm-hmm. I know why everyone was upset at watching what was happening. I think things just ramped up when all of a sudden, like, those first scandals dropped. Well, I'm not even talking about the totem comp.
What I find fascinating about Graham Plattner is that every white leftist I know, just about, there are a small handful of exceptions, but just about every one of them was a diehard Graham Plattner. And I never looked into why or why not, because all I saw was a
the Nazi tattoo, and I said, I don't really feel like there's anything else I need to know.
Literally, that last sentence, that 100%, yeah. I don't need to know anything else about the guy. He's got Nazi tattoo, lied about the Nazi tattoo. Okay. Moving along then. Toodles. Pip pip.
Which one?
You were asking about his Nazi tattoo. It's not a little. It was a little thing. It was like this big. It was huge. It was bigger than like an actual child's skull, and it was like right here. And it was
a very weird metric to use, but yes.
It's the symbol that every Nazi had on their hats and their belts. Like, goddamn, that is the most recognizable skull. It's so different. And like, again, we got played down. Like, everyone's like, he was drunk.
Like, did he think it was a pirate tattoo? Did he think that was? Did he? No, it was just a skull and crossbones from the pirate days, lads. Honest. Fucking hell. What? And again, it's the people who are like, are cleverer than to fall for that shit, who have actively like pretended that that's true, or pretended to accept that that's true, and it's not. Come on now.
In Croatia, just a bunch
He
of
was
soldiers.
drunk. That was the excuse.
He was drunk in
That's what
Croatia.
you came up with.
Just
That he got.
Well, apparently the drunk was the excuse for the rape as well. So apparently you can do Nazi shit and rape if you're drunk, and that's just dandy. Apparently.
A Nazi tattoo because he was drunk?
It's just a Marine thing, okay? You wouldn't understand. It's a Marine thing.
You're a civilian. You don't get it, all right?
Yeah.
Well, it's a Marine thing in that all Nazis should be under the sea. That is true.
You just don't know what it's like to be in the poop and all that shit, right? And you're like, that sounds really bad, okay? Like, I know for a fact that they knew what skulls they were picking.
Did Thomas Smith defend him? Oh no. Oh, don't have heroes, friends. Just don't. Oh, that's disappointing. I've always really liked Thomas. Oh, that's really grim. I'm gonna have to look into that now. Why have you opened up another vista of horror for me, 255? Can you not allow me to bathe in my ignorance? Really?
Guy says he's going to war because he wants to kill people. Guy at war killing brown people. Guy gets Nazi tattoo, and it's just. You think that there's no relation between?
Oh, Thomas Smith is an American podcaster. We go way. Well, I say we. Mainly him and Christy go way back. But he was on a happy hour many years ago now. Because you forget we've been doing that show for like damn near 10 years now. Yeah. Anyway, he does the. Was it Polite Conversations podcast? Or used to? I don't know if he still does. Anyway, and he's an American podcaster. He's very good. He started off in the kind of YouTube atheism scene, which is where me and Christy kind of originate from as well, to a degree. Although of course we didn't really make atheist content, but that's the kind of milieu from which we arose. And yeah, I've certainly had a lot of respect for the guy over the years. I'll have to look into his defense of Plattner though. I do hope it's not so grim that I have to. I don't want to cancel a bitch. I don't want to, but like it might need to happen. I don't know.
That tattoo and who he is.
And Mike, for how long? How long did he have it? Like how long was that?
It was like almost 2 decades. And
well, look, who amongst us let he who's without sin cast the first stone? Look at the face of Lovely. All of that is such a funny, like, what the fuck? Oh god, that's the perfect reaction.
Listen, call me crazy, okay? Pretend for a second that it wasn't a Nazi tattoo. It was just the skull and crossbones. If you look at the response video that was applauded by a lot of people, he's like, yeah, you know, my military buddies and I, we just wanted to get something that symbolized our time in Iraq, so we got a scary-looking skull tattoo. It's like, so you want to symbolize on your body a skull to commemorate, like, all the deaths that you had brought about. That, to me, like, okay, if you didn't know it was a Nazi tattoo, that to me still is very disturbing because it shows that, like, you were proud of the killing that you did, reinforcing the post that he made where he said, yes, I was proud of the killing that I did, essentially. And it just, it's bad.
Yeah, but just because someone says they were proud of doing killing and then they get a Nazi tattoo to celebrate how much they loved killing, doesn't mean they actually loved killing. He was probably just doing it for giggles. It was just shitposting on his own chest for many decades. You know, yeah, come on now. Who amongst us can't say we've done exactly that? Oh yeah, literally everyone, because I don't have scumbags in my audience, you know. Just saying.
Baffling to me that is that's acceptable. A lot of people, you know, I think that the default position for a lot of leftists were like, I'm willing to buy that he didn't know at the time when he got it. Sure, we can accept that. We don't know. But, you know, he probably found out at some point in time.
Do we want us to believe that it was, he went to the tattoo salon and it was one of the tattoos just like on the wall to choose from, like where they have...
Well, to be fair, it was Croatia. So that is actually possible. There are some crazy cunts in Croatia. Like, there are some Croatians who can be very proud of certain Croats' defense against Nazism, and there are some who are the exact opposite. Let's leave it there. Look into the Ustashi if you want to see some stuff. Yeah, thank you, Miss Hire. Good night, Miss Hire. Thanks for stopping by.
Of the general sample. Yeah. Is that what I'm supposed to believe? Like,
or did you see people we know and respect playing it down? Be like, who amongst us has not done a couple things they regret when they were younger? Or who, like, how are we even to know if he knew that was the correct symbol or stuff like that? And I was like, even if I had the best of faith, I'd believe you that he was wasted, had no idea what it was. 2 decades down the road, like, not a single human, like, you get that shit lasered off the next morning. Like, you have a symbol of Nazism on your chest right here emblazoned for the world to see. Like, goddamn, right?
And he's going to be pissed that he got it, you know, removed for nothing because now he's got to drop out. He probably liked his Nazi tattoo.
He was drunk. It's always funny how they always use that. He was drunk. He got that tattoo when he was drunk. Oh, he was drunk when he was doing them Reddit posts. Oh, he was drunk when he was holding his ex-girlfriend hostage and abusing her verbally. He was drunk when he said when somebody would break into their house, he would sexually assault them. He's waiting for the day that somebody tries to be a home invader and break into his house so he could assault them. And he didn't even say man, woman, or child. He said anybody that comes in the house, he'll get them.
During the course of his campaign, Graham Plattner faced repeated allegations, including but not limited to being a Nazi, an adulterer, a physical and sexual abuser. In May 2026, the New York Times and other news outlets reported that in 2025, his wife told a senior campaign aide that he'd been sexting multiple other women. Plattner's own campaign political director, Genevieve McDonald, alleged that his wife said he sexted as many as 12 women. A campaign official said he'd been communicating with no more than 6, and that the conduct had stopped before his campaign launched. His wife said that the matter had resolved through counseling. Child, which is the mildest of the accusations. That's just good old-fashioned adultery. But at this point in the video, we should know who Graham Plattner is and understand why his platform became so popular with the left. But we should also know that there absolutely were warning signs. So the question becomes, why didn't we heed them? Or more specifically, why didn't the white left heed them? Because that's the majority of who continued to champion him, even as we learned more and more disturbing information.
The white left in particular has a class reductionist blind spot. Like they get very excited for pro-workers' rights arguments that they, like, you know what I mean?
Hey, hello, No Justice MTG and the MTGoids. The MTGoids? I don't know. Anyway, hello there. Welcome in, everyone. We're doing a kind of I mean, we're kind of coming toward the end, I suppose, but we've been doing a watch session of leftists being bad, mostly on the Graham Plattner stuff. It's been genuinely grotesque. Everyone going full of Mixed Vivian Wolf, and of course No Justice MTJ. You're awake too. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Go to bed. Nerd. I mean, firstly, Viv, you're also awake. So, like, posting owls on yourself, dunking on yourself. But, yeah, I am going to go to bed reasonably soon, I suppose. Yeah. So, yeah, you can hit the follow button and subscribe and suck my dick. I don't know. Why am I being ridiculously, unnecessarily, and crudely offensive? Why? Why do I do this? I'm sick. Why the white left is wrong? Yeah, basically, yeah. I have insomnia. What's your excuse? Because of the World Cup, I'm on degenerate hours. I've been waking up at like 2 in the afternoon every day, dripping in sweat, because it's too hot. Honestly, I don't set alarms anyway, but it's mainly thirst. It's mainly thirst that has been waking me up for the last few weeks, or the last couple of weeks. Well, it's been really hot, because it's so hot, and like I only have my window cracked open a little bit for overnight. And so I wake up like drenched in sweat because it's too fucking hot and with a dry throat, and it's the dry throat that wakes me up. You can hydrate all you like, but if it's that hot, you're gonna wake up and be like, ah, fuck, I've sweated out an entire fucking kidney's worth of water or whatever.
Oh, we're all united in class, and if we fight on the level of class, we don't have to worry about race and these other things.
Exactly. So these were red flags that a lot of people tried to present, and when I say a lot of people, to be very, very clear, people who are not white. There were a couple of white leftists that, you know, kind of pressed pause and denounced him, but
thank you for the shout out, Mike. I do appreciate that.
Primarily, this was a lot.
We are umphies on Twitter, so, you know, I've got friends in high places, I'm just saying.
A lot of black leftists and Middle Eastern leftists, and anytime these objections were brought up, I was really disappointed that, like, there was this disingenuous vote blue no matter who coded argument where it's like, shut the fuck up, he's against genocide. It's like, yeah, and that's, you know, objectively speaking.
Yeah, the class reductionism of certain people on the left is really annoying. There are obviously, like, there's crazy examples like the fucking tankies who would be like, you know, we need to do a communist revolution and that will just solve all of the problems. Which, of course, is nonsense, but whatever. But the more, I suppose, the more sinister, because it's more palatable, way of going about it is essentially, like, I was sort of saying earlier when we were talking about Emma Vigeland, that, you know, when she was saying that it doesn't matter if someone's secretly a Nazi, whatever that means, that I don't care if someone supports, like, good transport policy or good taxation policy if they're also a Nazi, because the Nazi thing is like a non-negotiable. So just saying we need to focus on my particular bugbears with the system and fuck your problems with it is a pretty gross way of going about trying to build a coalition of people. Because, as you saw with Allah's reaction to the Nazi tattoo 20 years thing, like, there's a lot of black people who instantly, like, quite rightly side-eye motherfuckers who will say, like, oh, it doesn't really matter that he had a Nazi tattoo. Yeah, the fuck it does. Yes, it does. Like, you as a rich, no, not necessarily rich, but like a whiteoid, you'll probably be okay. You won't be going to the camps. But, like, black people, gay people, whatever, trans people, like, these people, yeah, they're in the direct firing line. So you telling them to shut up because, like, the only thing that matters is Medicare for all is gross. And again, as talked about earlier, the need to trust your fellow leftists that you've got my back you're showing that you don't have my back, and that you're prepared to stab me in the back if you get a candidate that comes along that's a bit like, let's say, ideologically saucy, a bit of a spicy boy, i.e. supports genocide but also likes taxing the rich. Like, no, fuck that noise. No, I'm sorry. Like, me and you are not the same. Rebecca Watson called it months ago. Did she? Rebecca Watson, honestly, has there ever been a more righteously vindicated person than Rebecca Watson? Like, she's right about pretty much fucking everything. Or not necessarily the most righteous, but like the person who gets the worst kind of the worst internet what's the word I'm looking for? Reputation, compared to them being like right on everything. I'm brown disabled anarchist. I'm done for, lol. Well, Mouselander, you and I are both fucked. You're probably a bit more fucked than me, but I am a bit fucked as well. Also, it doesn't matter if a person individually is fucked. You should also, even if you are a person that the Nazis would like, in terms of race and gender and all the rest of it, like, you should also not like Nazis. Who did this vetting? The same people who does the vetting for fucking Farage, I would imagine. Seemingly.
Speaking, I think you could probably make a harm reduction argument pretty persuasively, you know, against him versus Janet Mills, him versus Susan Collins. But it's a little bit weird that, like, all of the Palestinian leftists are fuck Graham Plattner all the way, because they see that, hey, he was okay with killing brown people, so you're using Palestinians as a defense for this white man. It doesn't really add up. There's...
Well, not just that, but, like, it's so obvious that someone who's so in favour of killing people is the most obvious next... let's call him the next Fetterman. Like, it's very obvious that even though he ran as, like, a anti-war guy or whatever, I think he'd probably support like some of the bomb Iran shit. And like Palestinians can smell a genocider a mile off. It's sort of the thing they've needed to be able to do to survive at all. Did you get that link earlier? What link did you send me to, 255? Send it again.
There's a disconnect there. Like, why is Graham Plattner okay but the IDF bad when he probably killed more people? He decided to volunteer multiple times. There's a lot of things.
I don't think he killed more people than the IDF, but I know what you mean. He pretty killed people more than your average IDF person does, probably.
That have been rubbing me the wrong way about this story because of the way that leftists just overlook those red flags.
Yeah, because my thing is this. I don't understand what it matters, what he says, or what his platform allegedly is on paper when it's obviously so inconsistent with what his record and his life experiences appear to be. And I'm confused because it's like we live in the era of being hyper tuned into grifter. To you know what I mean, grifter, charlatan. Why are we taking at? Why do people believe so? Like, what does it matter what his platform?
255, yeah, the Thomas Smith podcast, yeah. I'll check that out. Thank you. Yeah. Although to be fair, that was before this recent set of allegations, so at least he's not doing rape apology, that's good. Yeah, but I'll check that out off stream. Like, I'm prepared to be self-indulgent, but listening to a podcast from a guy that seemingly no one in my audience has ever heard of, look, even I call, draw the line there, I think.
Platform appears to be, why do we believe that that's genuine when all these other things, what does it matter if he says he's against genocide and he's against, what Israel is doing, if his record says that, you know what I mean? And what does it matter what he says? Why is there someone stalking what he says rather than what he appears to be?
True.
But this isn't the first time that they've done this and overlooked racism, because they overlook it every time when it comes to people of color, marginalized communities, being anti-black or being racist is not their hard line in the same.
I have to say, I like this guy's energy. I don't think I know the channel, but I will have to check them out. I like this guy's energy. There's a kind of a pissed offness, but a kind of upbeat pissed offness that I quite like. I vibe with it.
Stand for them. We saw this before in 2021 when John Fetterman was running. I recall a number of us black people out here sounding the alarms about John Fetterman when we found out that when he was mayor, he chased down an unarmed black man. Now, I don't know how one can justify that as somebody's actions, saying, oh, well, this is in the past and he's learned since then. What behooved him to take it upon himself to...
Behooved is a good word.
...be a vigilante? His ass is Batman when in fact he's just a fat ass ogre. But he's more Shrek than he is Batman. But he thinks, oh, let me go chase down a black man who I see so happen to be running. From what I'm not sure, but because I see a black man running, that looks suspicious.
Was it just a guy out jogging or some shit? What the fuck? I don't know this story. That's fucking wild. Oh my word.
To me, let me go inside, grab my shotgun, get in my car, and drive and hold this black man hostage until the police arrives.
Yeah.
What justification was that? When black people said that this is a problem, that racism should be your hard line, because here's the situation. If somebody's racist, look at the intersection when that happens. When somebody's racist, more than likely they're misogynist. If they're misogynist, more than likely they're xenophobic. If there's...
Yeah, I've been saying this for years. Bigotry begets bigotry. Like, and there is some weird, like, it's always sort of interesting to me, just as a kind of, I don't know, curiosity, if nothing else, to try and work out, because there's always, like, one bigotry that they don't do. I don't think I've met many people who, like, chick off all of them. They usually, if you see them being a racist, they are also a sexist and blah blah blah. But there's always one weird, like, personal thing where they're like, yeah, I'm a racist and yeah, I'm a misogynist and blah blah blah. But actually, no, don't be homophobic or some shit like that. Like, there's some weird personal thing they have where it's like, yeah, but don't attack, like, Hindus. I like Hindus. Look, it's what? Or like they went to fucking, I don't know, Kenya once. The Kenyans are cool, but all the rest of Africa are bad. Like, there's, I've studied enough crazy people. For those who don't know, if you're, like, relatively new here, I did a series called The Descent of Manosphere, where I went through and sort of did, like, individual studies of individual, you know, fucking misogynist pricks online, and you see patterns start to emerge with it, right? And there's always sort of that bigotry begetting bigotry, but each person's particular configuration of bigotries is slightly different. So it's sort of fascinating to me to try and work out which bits suit which people, you know. But he's absolutely right in saying that if you're a piece of shit towards one group, you're probably going to be a piece of shit towards lots of other types of groups. Oh yeah, and of course you've got the hardline fascists who are chasers, who love trans people. When I say love trans people, want to have sex with trans people, don't necessarily want trans people to have rights though, but yeah.
Xenophobic, then more than likely they're anti-immigrant. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. You see the intersectionalities. If somebody hates black people, or if somebody has a prejudice that's built into them, then more than likely you're going to see more and more red flags come out about how horrible of a human person this person could be.
Yeah.
But for some odd reason, that didn't bother them, because all they heard was they support Medicare for all. All they heard is they are self-proclaimed communists. All they heard was, oh, this person wants to liberate the Palestinians and wants to dismantle, you know, the occupation of Israel, which I agree with all of those things. But however, when you're a horrible person, why do I give a
You know, as a leftist and an abolitionist, I would understand if I believed it was happening on the level of, we believe, you know, redemption. If we want people, we recognize that people grow up in this society and they're gonna have bad views, and we want people to yada 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 yada. But that never
that don't apply nowhere else but with these white guys. Because I'm like, it's interesting to me as somebody that we just had a 2024 presidential election when there was like no space. They had no space, grace for any argument that said, hey, let's like really prioritize keeping the fascists out of office. It was all Kamala's a cop, Kamala's a this. I don't want to hear nothing else about yada, 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 yada. She was a prosecutor. Yeah. And like, it's just interesting to me for that to exist alongside, well, let's ignore the fact that this guy appears to be a racist. Let's ignore the fact that this guy has been accused of violence. This guy's a
and not just that, right? I mean, she makes good points here, but in addition to that, like, if you're going to do the restorative justice type thing, then pretending you didn't know it was a Nazi tattoo, well, you've not accepted that what you did was wrong. So how could you possibly have improved yourself? How could you possibly have personally developed beyond that if you're not even accepting that what you did was wrong? So he's not even doing, like, he's not redeemed himself in any way. He's changed some of his opinions, that's cool, but he hasn't done any of the actual work to become a better person. That was just an excuse that people were using to be like, oh, let's ignore the bad thing and just support the man who says the nice words that we like. It's gross.
I think I had.
And again, just for future reference to any leftists that are watching and all the rest of it, like, next time someone with a Nazi tattoo pops up, give them a wide berth. You know, that's just, maybe don't support them. Because it turns out, as a Nazi, they're probably a bad person. Who'da thunk it?
Well, see, he's mercenary, eh? I see.
You say that they say that they're anti-cop and
war.
Come on, he bragged about it. Actually, he bragged about killing people. He said he loved winning, which required killing. So, come on, red flags there. But none of that was a problem, because when you're white, there's this thing called nuance. But when you a nigga, there's no such thing as nuance. I keep telling people that over and over again. There is no nuance when it comes to niggas. And I don't understand what that's about. But it goes to this other point, because...
Is he going to read that out? I don't know. Rejoice, your Scottish Marxist has been here for 2.5 years. Yes, thank you, Mad Cat Scotty Eye. Everyone go and follow Mad Cat Scotty Eye. Who is in the chat there. They are good people and awesome. Let us continue.
Even when somebody says that, I mean, on paper, Grant Plattner pretty much checks all their boxes. And low-key, the way some of these people be acting and these people be moving, I don't think racism is not one of those things that they want to check on the box. Because they will continuously ignore it. Right now, I just saw clips of Anna Kasparian and Jen Wigger on TYT pretty much victim shaming this woman.
Yeah, they literally, well, we watched that earlier. Yeah, they did fucking wild shit. Like, Cenk was always a div, but like Anna, the turfism has fucking boiled her brain. She is gone.
Saying, well, why didn't she go to the police? Why didn't she file a replete report? Why didn't she get a hit? And I'm over here arguing in the comments like, do you not know how many women have actually done all of the things that you're claiming, went and filed the police report, went and had a hit done?
In my mind, and the reason why I feel like my brain is so broken from this is I feel like this was one of the easier moral tests for a lot of leftists, and they failed. And now I'm thinking, okay, we really have to hash this out, because what happens 10 years down the line? We get a progressive ICE agent. I was in ICE, I regret it. Do we give them a pass?
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That's going to be fucking intense. Yeah, there's going to be an ICE agent who comes out and says we need to tax billionaires, and they're going to be leftists who will jump all over his dick. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, the timeline is going to be just awful. Oh, Mike, why have you opened up that fucking window into hell for me? Why couldn't you have just allowed me to blissfully and ignorantly swaddle? That isn't the word I was looking for. What was the word I was looking for? I don't know. Saunter. To saunter into that future. He was drunk when he signed up for ICE. True.
Give an IDF agent, or IDF soldier rather, a pass? Do we give a cop a pass? Where do we draw the line? Because if we're not drawing the line at Blackwater mercenary who enjoyed killing people, I feel like there's just no line. There's no standards. We have absolutely zero standards. Anybody can come in, infiltrate the movement, hijack it, as Plattner kind of did. Like, he was the face of the movement for a lot of people. If that's the case, we're kind of just doomed. Like, this isn't long for this world. It's going to fizzle out at some point, because if you don't have any moral core, or you deviate away from that and you make exceptions for people like Plattner with all these red flags, and you pretend like the red flags don't exist, like, you are going to f up. And that's not to say that you have to get it right 100% of the time. I've said hundreds of things across the 11 years that I've been doing this that I wish I could take back. But what matters is that you grow. You learn from our f-ups in the past and you grow. We just saw Tulsi Gabbard. We just saw John Fetterman. We have to apply what we have learned. Otherwise, we're just going to faceplant. We're going to get rolled by the establishment. Yep. I mean, you see AIPAC right now. They're not just funding Zionist candidates. They're doing ads for progressive anti-Zionist candidates to split the Zionist vote. We have no choice but to get more savvy and acknowledge that there's something deeper about what we're fighting for than just like the superficial, I support Medicare for all and an end to the genocide. There has to be more than that. There needs to be evidence that you are committed to this. Not like, oh, hey, I said this one thing on Reddit that like fascists are bad. That's not enough. There needs to be a real concrete record of you walking the walk or whatever. Just like, you can't just be like, hey man, yeah, there's a bunch of red flags. He talked about killing people, but like, he also said that he's a communist on Reddit. I don't give a shit.
I find it so like convenient. And I can't help but find it just so interesting, because like when you think about it on the heels of like the presidential election, when many of us who don't love Kamala are not diehard Democrats or don't support the Democratic establishment or anything, are like, hey, we should vote for Kamala. We should do what you were saying, that a lot of the arguments that people are saying that we're saying to like die on the hill for Plattner resembled vote blue matter no matter who. When those same arguments were being made about black people, like, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is going to happen to, like, fascism. This is going to happen about racism. This is what Donald Trump and them want. This is xenophobia, all of this. It was, oh, your blue MAGA, liberal shows, vote blue no matter who is nonsense. You need to earn our vote. She was a cop. She was a this. She said that. It was all this. Everything. It was no matter. When people said, oh, well, Kamala says she's anti-genocide, or she's anti-genocide, she says this, she says that. No one cared when it was like, oh, well, she was a cop, she was a this. The record mattered then. All these different things. It's just interesting to see that and then turn around. Like, even the other day, there was a race in California where, like, the left loved the billionaire. And I was like, that's funny. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny to me when these exceptions are willing to be made. Whenever the white left likes somebody that doesn't fit the bill or is in like violation of all the things we were just told like are absolute non-negotiables, it's fine. It's all of a sudden it becomes like we can make the progressive exception. But when it's the other way around, when it's a black candidate, when it's this, all of a sudden it's like you're all a fucking blue MAGA, identity politics, woke liberal shills holding everybody back. I'm like, you mean to tell me that Plattner's written word, his stated platform rises above all this shit? This is the guy? But Kamala was like, I'm like, really? Like, we...
I love the anger. I love the righteous anger. Okay, and on that note, because it is like, shit, 1:30. What the fuck? How long have I been streaming? Oh, over 3 hours. Fuck. Okay. Anyway, you should all go and watch the rest of that, because I don't even think we got halfway through it, did we? Shit, we didn't even get near to halfway through. We got 27 minutes out of it. It's fucking hour and 10 or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone go and watch the rest of this video if you're interested. Obviously, on the Alurinati Politics channel. So it's not on like her main channel, but go and check that out. Okay. I'm gonna rest in peace for the evening. Right. What did I decide? Oh yeah, I was possibly not going to stream today, as in like the 15th, because of there's football later, soccer for the Americans. England are in a World Cup semi-final, which is a thing, and so I'll probably be doing that. But I will possibly be on early to do Prime Minister's questions, just because it's the last one that Sir Keir Starmer, KC, will have. So there'll probably be some extraordinarily cringe moments in it where Labour MPs are falling over themselves to slobber all over his tiny penis. So yeah, we'll probably take a look at that and laugh hysterically as he cries on his way out or something. Right. Who should we send people over to on the various platforms? Let's have a look on YouTube. Oh, I'm on the wrong fucking thing. 1 second. I need to switch accounts because I'm not on the right account. I was on my KFL React channel. I must get back into doing the football streams next season. I think so. It's just like... I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I haven't decided. I'd quite like to, though. Because I do. I mean, I basically watch loads of football anyway, so why not? Ironically, the Young Turks are going, but, like... Nope. Ico Rules is going, so I'll send you over there on the YouTubes. And on Twitch. No, don't worry, I'm not sending you into TYT. It was just ironic that we were looking at some of their evil earlier. Who is going... I don't know who that is. Why does it just suggest channels that I don't even fucking follow? I don't know. I don't follow any of these fuckers. Who are these people? Ico is also on Twitch. Okay, yeah, we'll just go there then. Fuck it. No, that's entirely the wrong question. Right. Oh yeah, there she is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll see you later. Oh, she's watching IRI. The Zionist, who was the weird fucking twat from the Pretty Fly for a White Guy video, if anyone remembers the 90s. Yeah. I will see you all possibly in a few hours to watch PMQs, but possibly not. There are no promises. Thank you all for listening and watching. Your support is amazing and I love you all. Free Palestine. No pasaran.
With rifles. We do have some still footage that was captured by your team of the incident. We should say in a statement, the Israeli Defense Force